Well, welcome everybody to our latest session of the Restoration of Cariele. We are on session 35. As usual, we'll do a quick recap of what occurred last week, and then we will get started with today's session. So last week, you guys will likely recall, we dealt with the declaration of war from the nation of Thurazor to your west. There was some initial discussions. You guys tried to immediately recruit some mercenaries. We played a little bit fast and loose with the rules there, just as an FYI. Technically, when a nation declares war on you, they can move their troops immediately. You wouldn't be able to, say, hire mercenaries right at that moment. But for that purpose, it was just fine. But just so you guys are aware, future, it would take you at least till your turn to be able to actually hire mercenaries. So, little minor convenience with the rules, so no big deal there. But what we primarily were focused on last session was you guys hiring those mercenaries to try to bolster your defenses. The forces of Thurazor, a letter came from the king of Thurazor before the forces actually moved in, which alerted you to the fact that there was this, as the Goblin King implied, a traitorous general in Thurazor who rallied some of his units and marched them in to your nation as a response to a lack of respect that was shown to Thurazor, as the Count of Cariele has been in his position for some time now and hasn't even reached out to Thurazor. What exactly is the truth of this is, of course, unknown at this point. You guys can draw your own conclusions. But the king did say that he would not support any additional forces. No additional units would be charging across, nothing along those lines. So he said you could deal with these troops in whatever way you wished. So you guys met them on the battlefield as a unit of Goblin Cavalry, a unit of Goblin Irregulars, and a unit of Goblin Infantry, I believe it was. The three of them all invaded Melivienne. You guys stood firm. We played out one tutorial battle so you guys would understand the rules of war and how that all works. And in the tutorial battle, with your spellcasters on the battlefield, you guys did really, really well. And so when we then moved over to the real battle, you guys decided not to be on the battlefield, knowing that if your unit was destroyed, your character very likely could be killed. So you decided not to take that risk, and without the support of the magic there, maybe the random odds kind of going a different way, and perhaps even most importantly, the revelation of a secret goblin general, which you probably should have expected anyhow based on the letter, who was leading the Goblin Cavalry and took charge of them and was able to make them a bit more effective than they otherwise would be. It turned out that this goblin force slew all of your own troops. Your mercenaries that you hired very quickly, however, did manage to survive and were the last unit on the battlefield. So, having defeated the 3 units of goblin forces, your mercenaries survived. However, your other 2 units were indeed slain, your scouts and your archers. And you guys were eventually alerted to the results of this battle as you are back in the council chambers in Cerilia. Having heard of this, you guys immediately started taking some steps. You wanted to try to send word to those mercenaries to try to get a hold of the body of the Goblin General and send it on to you. And also perhaps look over the battlefield for anything of value that you could take. Based on what you've heard from Tannen and others, you don't necessarily think that there's going to be some large payday here by stripping the units of their arms and those types of things. Mostly arms, weapons, and that kind of thing used in battles. Obviously, they get nicked up pretty badly, so it's certainly not like brand new equipment. And then, of course, who knows exactly what those mercenaries are going to take? Not under your direct control, even though they're taking orders from you guys. Mercenaries have a tendency to kind of do what they want for the most part, and hard to say exactly what they will do. So, with that underway, and out of the way, I should say, you guys continued some other discussions about some upcoming events, particularly your next bout of petitioners, how exactly you were going to handle that. There was some concern about the overall state of the treasury, how much more money might be coming in. Could you afford to hire more scouts in particular and other army units? Should you move some around? But overall, there was no immediate decisions made to the best of my memory. And of course, we will pick that up here today's session. So that was primarily what we handled last week. That's my very quick recap. If there's anything I missed that anybody would like to add, please feel free. All right, and if there is nothing that anybody would like to add, yeah, there was not a ton that we did because of the wars. That certainly soaked up a lot of the time. We will go ahead and jump right into the action. Let me dish out a card to everybody. All right, so everybody should have your card. Take a moment to look at it, and yeah, let's go ahead and get you guys over to the council chambers. All right, there we are, council chamber. So you guys are currently all around the council chamber, sitting around this desk, various different matters before you. Taking a quick look at our calendar. Yes, so technically it is early in the morning on the 20th of Faniel. This is the actual day of your session of council. You guys have gathered a little bit of notes previously to this and asked a couple questions, but it is later today. You know, you can think of this as being a few hours away when you're supposed to be meeting with both your public petitioners and then your private meeting requests.
Right. Time to press the flesh, everybody.
Not really sure what that means.
Oh, when you know, you know.
Just a reminder, we have that one petitioner, Anson King something Seeker, that had a murdered daughter. So I was hoping that maybe Serena had a chance to talk to the sergeant a little further, see how that overall, I guess you can call investigation is going.
That is what I would call it. And did I?
Well, you certainly would have had some time between 2 sessions ago and today to handle that. Was there specific details you were trying to learn here, Serena? Or is this primarily just like a status check on how the investigation's going?
Primarily status check, but also kind of digging in deeper into the protocol things and seeing if I had any concerns about, you know, the way the hierarchy is laid out and the various teams not communicating with each other seemed to be like it could be an issue. So I was going to be doing some restructuring as well as getting to the bottom of exactly where we are with the investigation.
Okay, go ahead and throw me a blind check to represent your efforts in, you know, seeing what you could find out in this period of time. Okay, so you're able to learn from Sergeant Morningfall that the investigation is ongoing. There haven't been any new killings yet, or at least none that have been attributed to this quote-unquote serial killer that would, you know, sort of fit the pattern. They haven't gotten any closer to tracking this person down. There's some, you know, obviously there's arrests that happen every day in the city, but they don't believe that they've caught this person unless they perhaps caught him on a different charge, but they don't know he's connected. It's hard to say. So yeah, really kind of status quo. As far as how things are all working, I would say there's sort of a general sense of chaos that you could really pick up on here, where it doesn't seem as though there's really good structure in place. Each team kind of is a little bit on an island to their own, and then when issues come up, they might kick it over to another team to try to get more information or to try to get assistance, but it's pretty haphazard how it all comes together.
Okay. Should I be specific about how I'd like to resolve those issues, or
Yes,
also
you don't necessarily have to tell me everything right now, but if you want to like write up what it is that you're asking for. Like if you say, oh, I want it to work like this, then yeah, I do need to know those kind of specifics of what you're looking for.
Is there already in the information like a description of like the various groups that are operating within the city limits?
Nope. No, the structure is so bad that I would say what you're finding out is when you talk to people, sometimes they mention various individuals or maybe even other teams that you're like, okay, now what is this team? And like, there certainly is no like directory or org chart that says here's where everybody links and all of that. It seems, again, very haphazard. You might go to like one area of the Capitol. You might start speaking to the guards there, and they say, yeah, go talk to our captain. You talk to that captain, and he says, yeah, I'm responsible for this area between these streets and these streets. And again, it's very, very chaotic at this point. You get the impression that in the past, there's not really been any strong focus on making sure everything's done really well like this.
Okay, well, I definitely took less time to try to get to the specifics of who all the players are, but I will just simply dictate a hierarchy and protocol.
Okay.
And when I asked specific questions about the dead daughter of this particular petitioner, was there any information that I was able to glean about related to that investigation specifically?
Sergeant Morningfall would tell you that Anson Keensinker's daughter does fall into the age range, and she was a single woman, so she certainly fits the profile of being one of the targets of the serial killer, but they haven't necessarily confirmed that that is indeed linked yet.
Great. Well, as you can see, lots of answers from this department. So, my
It sounds
apologies.
like you've got a lot of strings that need tying off at the end. So maybe after we deal with these petitioners, we can have a council session about how we want to organize these things, and then you can get to action, Serena.
Well, I'll do my best to bring forward a proposal, so
That sounds fair.
it's not more work for you, Lord.
Well, how the hell did this place function before we ever took hold of it? Intia must have been a royal idiot.
Well, you may want to remember a lot of his folks quit after he left, so maybe they had help and maybe they did all the work.
Maybe. Well, it brings me to the next order of business I wanted to talk about before we have our petitioners, and that is the rat folk and their request for more iron or more efficient ways of purchasing it. Any suggestions?
Well, I don't know if you may remember too, the fishman said something about a lot of junk being thrown into the river and everything. I don't know, some of that junk was iron, right? But if some of it was, leftover material and everything, if we put together like a salvage yard or something, right? And tell folks they can dump stuff there, and maybe instead of dumping it you know, into the water or whatever, maybe people can go ahead and put materials there, and maybe we somehow get the rat folks to be able to, to search that stuff for scraps. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can kind of see if they two tie together a little bit.
It's a good idea, for sure.
We could give them a gopher too, to someone that could purchase from the merchants without getting jacked up in price.
We could make a connection with a designated merchant, Had them.
Also, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say if
Oh my
we.
god. This place is going to heck. You see that thing over there? Blixel starts pointing in the corner of the room.
I guess somebody just got a secret message or something. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I think he
So,
wants to play his card that he's been waiting to do for.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hey, look! It's a rabbit!
what, can we see what he's referencing, Adam?
If any of you sort of start moving away from their desk or just getting up, trying to lean up and look over that way, Blixel, it's when you mention this and kind of look back towards them to inform them of what's there, and you look back, you don't see whatever you might have seen before.
Ugh. This place. It's got more holes than Swiss cheese. I swear. There was a rabbit in the corner. I swear.
Was it a portal? Was it another portal?
Maybe your wine has gone bad, Sir Blixel.
Maybe it was late for a very important date.
It's probably a portal to
Hey.
the rabbit dimension.
Can I'll just get up and I guess I can't think of the phrase now, but I'll believe Blixel half-heartedly and just get up and go to wherever he was pointing in the corner. Can I, like, with my toe, kind of dig around and see if I feel anything? Humoring him. Thank you.
You can. As you get over to this area and you kind of take your foot and kind of kicking around behind the suit of armor where Blixel is pointing and indicating that there was this creature, this very strange scent hits your nostrils, Vin. It almost smells like homemade cookies. You remember a fond memory with Tegan when she baked cookies for you and your brother that one time and served them on a platter with a glass of milk. That smell of that sugar cookie, it seems to be, that's it right here.
That one time that she did it.
Yeah. We just happened to get some sugar in the hamlet that one weekend. Well, I'll kind of the suit of armor, is it on a stand?
Yes, we'll say it is.
Can I see if I can maybe shift it over a little bit and see if I can get where the smell's coming from?
You
Second
shift
time we've had weird smells in this castle.
You shift it over slightly, but you don't see anything there. You don't see any obvious sign of where the odor should be coming from, and it seems as though it's weakening. You could sense the odor getting less and less.
Blixel does divine sense, just to be sure.
Is there anything in the is there any openings in the wall, Adam?
Give me a blind check, then.
I'll throw a hero point on it because I guess we long rested, so everything should be full, right?
Since the last time you went out on an adventure, yes.
A nice hero point. There we go.
You don't find anything out of the ordinary here, Ben. Blixel, you kind of open your senses and you do get this kind of strange, beautiful music that sort of hits your ears for a moment, but nothing is registered. No creature types are registered in that area.
Did you hear that? That jingle?
I don't hear it, but do you smell that? That smell?
Do we
Can I
smell
open?
it
I'm like,
if we
is
go
it like
there?
one of these corners, Adam?
Yep, yeah, the first one you click, that's kind of what I was thinking of, yep.
Can I go out the door and see on the other side?
Sure, yeah, you open the door, you notice
See if
there's
I
a
can
couple of...
follow the smell. You said it was going away. Can I see if I can track it again and follow it?
You can sure try, yeah. So you open the door, you notice there's a couple of guards standing there on either side. When the door opens, you see one kind of looks and sees you and kind of gives this almost like odd look, seeing you like come out by yourself. You're sniffing the air, trying to like track the scent almost. Go ahead and give me another blind check. The scent seems to be essentially gone at this point. If any of it lingers at all, it's behind you.
I'll look at the two guards and say, carry on, men. If you smell sugar cookies, knock on the door. Let me know.
They
What do you-
kind of look at
Go
each
back in.
other like perplexed, and one of them just gives you a nod.
What are you guys looking for?
I was going to humor Blixel with his rabbit, and when I came over here, I smelled this very curious smell. It was like fresh baked cookies, almost.
Oh, rabbits, when they fart, it smells like cookies. It's nothing to be worried about.
Oh, is that true? Where'd it go? Is there a hole in the wall over there?
This time you guys can't blame me for weird scents.
Well, I
I'm
promise
concerned
to.
about a random rabbit in our chambers, regardless of what their farts smell like.
Yeah, it could be a spy.
Those cats.
But we'll make sure the guards are on high alert. But either way, these ideas about the iron are good. But I think one of the best would be to just have a designated merchant for them to go to, giving them access at a fair price. So perhaps we can make it part of one of our duties to track down a merchant who sells iron and would be willing to work with these rat folk.
And just to be clear, when rats fart, they don't smell like cookies at all.
Ooh, what does it
You're the
smell like?
expert.
You're a little freaky, huh? Well, that's what you've been doing out in the woods.
I was wondering why Dash was obsessed with farts. He gets it from his father, apparently.
I don't know, everybody just keep your eyes peeled. There could be people trying to spy on us. This is very important proceedings.
Yeah, the evil spy rabbit. Is that what you're saying?
Could be.
Adam,
Could
I'm
be
gonna go
could
with
be a fairy rabbit too.
kill the rabbit. Okay, so I'm gonna look under the table just because I'm very curious about my friend Blixel and the mushrooms he's eating.
Line check, Tabard.
Something's in his tea for sure.
He must be stashing his drugs elsewhere. You don't see any under the table.
Made me look.
I look in my pouch, count my mushrooms. Yeah, I have everything of my own stash. I wonder what he's doing over there.
All right, don't believe me. I see you all looking at me. That's fine. Just keep your eyes peeled. Look out for the rabbit.
You hear a knock on the door at this point, and you see Lord Tannen closest to the door raises from his chair, and he walks over to the door as before. He opens it just a bit, listens for a moment, and then you see he nods, and you see him actually hold a hand up as though he's motioning for stop to somebody on the other side, and you see the door is pushed slightly, not very hard, but just a little bit, and you see Lord Tannen now firm with the door, and you hear him say, "Stop, just a moment." And the door is closed once again. And he comes back to the table and he looks at you all and he says, "My lord counselors, the guild rep Parniel is here again. He's demanding to be seen."
Kind of look at everybody and kind of give them the don't say shit nod and look at Tannen and say, all right, well, send him in.
Lord Tannen nods and he makes his way back over towards the door. And you see he opens it once again and opens, with his hand, kind of an inviting gesture out in that area. You notice Parniel steps in. He's looking a bit, perhaps, energetic, you might say, as he steps through the doorway. And you see he looks at you all and he says, "Counselors, I apologize for this interruption, but I have urgent news to bring to your attention."
Oh, sure. Parneo, take a seat. Make yourself comfortable.
He nods. Thank you. And he does just that. You see he takes some paperwork out from a satchel at his side, and he looks up and he says, "I have been in communications with Miele, and she has let me know the following decree. Apparently, you have your team, your council here, has had some communications with the nation of Moriad, and because of those communications, the Moor has assessed a penalty, a financial penalty, on the guilds. Because this is, you see, he looks down at the paperwork and puts his finger on this particular spot on the paper before looking back up at you. Your fault. She indicates that she will be expecting you to pay this financial penalty. If you choose not to, then she will be seizing assets.
Aye. I guess that's super urgent indeed, Parnio.
Yes, it is. The fee that is being assessed is 1 gold bar per season. Would you like to pay that now?
Oh, excuse me.
Why are we responsible for what they do?
Apparently, you see he looks back towards his paperwork, the communications that you had with Moriad encouraged the Moor to assess a financial penalty onto the guilds. Because this is your responsibility, Miele has decided to pass that penalty on to you.
How would you know what our communications?
The guild has its resources. I personally am not up to speed on exactly how this all works, but nonetheless, I am quite certain that Miele has her ways of being able to learn that type of information.
What is their reasoning for charging you an additional cost?
Well, and you see he looks back down towards the paperwork. It has to do with some of the information that you let slip to Moriad and some of the things that you indicated to them. Apparently, you expressed some knowledge to the Moor about how his son was treated here, and you exaggerated some of the circumstances of how everything occurred. And so, therefore, the Lord there of Moriad, the Moor, he is not happy with those stated occurrences or chain of events that supposedly occurred here, and thus he's assessed that financial penalty.
And you don't think Michael himself would have reported what happened to his father upon returning to Moriad?
That is not up for me to say, Counselor. I am simply informing you of what I've been informed by Miele.
Aye. All right. Well, we have correspondence with Moyed. Yes, we've sent one letter to them. They responded, and we sent another. We're waiting on their next response. But the good thing is, Parnio, is that we have record of this correspondence. And I can assure you, in this record, we did not in any way implicate anything involving the guild and Michael. Only
If
that
you
Michael had filled him in on what happened while he was in our province.
If you wish to submit all of your correspondence that you've had with Moriad, I can certainly make sure Miele is made aware of that and see if she changes her mind, but I am not given any wiggle room to excuse this in any way, my lord. My apologies. It is simply a statement of fact. It is a penalty, or she will be seizing assets.
She's just flexing her muscles again until she just makes sure that you've got nothing. That's the problem here. She just, oh, look, this happened. I mean, it's like magical bunnies. If she said there was a magical bunny in the room, I guess it must be true. Who knows?
I put my hand up and kind of relax Tavard a little bit. Parnio, we can assure you, here and now, that we did not do anything to harm the guild's connection with any of our neighbors in any province. However, to make Miele feel better about this, I don't see any way of us avoiding this financial penalty, I guess you could say. However, we will like to turn over the correspondence in hopes that she understands that we have no ill will towards what she's doing in any of our neighboring provinces.
Well, if you wish to get copies of those correspondences to me sometime in the next couple of days, I will be sure to have them over to her as well. But as I said, she did ask me to collect the penalty soon, so I can give you a couple of days on that to make up your mind. But I would recommend that you pay the penalty, because if she seizes assets, she will likely seize far more than this low penalty.
Hi, Ponyo, you don't need to use your seat here to make any threats. We understand Miele's reach and power. We're quite familiar with her resources. And either way, we would like our connection with the guild to be one of harmonious connections and not one of malicious intent. So,
Yeah.
considering we're only a month into this, it would definitely be ill will of us to negatively impact this harmonious alliance, I guess you could say. So, Ponyo, what we'll do is in a couple of days, or let's say the 22nd, you can return back here and we'll be sure that you're paid, and we'll make sure you have correct copies of your correspondence to take to her. And if you don't mind, I'd like to write a letter that you take to her as well.
I certainly can deliver any correspondence that you like, my lord.
It would be wonderful, Ponyo. Now, in the future, sir, please do not force your way into these chamber doors. Follow procedure. You are welcome here. But if you get violent or force your way past or push anyone, well, then that creates a reputation that influences this harmonious relationship. So just be patient. We will always see you.
He nods. Yes, yes, of course, my lord. Well then,
Now,
seeming that we
that,
have come to terms. Oh, I apologize, my lord.
yes, I was going to say something along the same lines. Now that everybody's proverbial swords are no longer drawn, I would like you to relax a bit, Ponyo. And can I ask you a question?
You certainly can.
You see, in the hamlet I grew up in, I was around elves a lot. I recognize your eye color. Do you have elven heritage or relations?
You notice he kind of steeples his hands momentarily. None in recent generations, my lord, but who's to say, past a couple of generations, almost any of us could have elvish blood, I assume.
Yeah,
Only the
most
lucky
of us.
ones.
It was only curious and odd. That color blue is magnificent.
You see, he gives you a slight smile. Oh, well, thank you.
In your family, do they all share the eye color?
Some do, but it is not a universal trait among the Sidians, no.
I see. Well, Ponyo, I'm sure you know that I'm a scion. My bloodline has some unique abilities. I met someone, Jason Renegon. He fought with everyone here in the council chambers as they went out on a bit of an adventure. He had those curious blue eyes too, and he said his was from his bloodline. Would yours be similar?
I am afraid I am not so blessed, my lord.
Ah, I see. So non-blooded?
Yes, I suppose that is the correct term.
Oh, don't take any offense. I was only curious, as most of my abilities I've only learned recently and as we go along. So that was it. I was just curious, Ponyo.
I'm happy to fulfill your curiosities, my lord, but if there is nothing else, as you said, I rudely barged in your time. I would certainly like you to get back to your work at hand, and I would like to get this message back to Miele as soon as possible.
Aye. And on the 22nd, I guess we can go over what our petition has talked about a little. So you can do your duties.
He nods. I would be very happy to get an update from your council. You see, he takes his satchel and he takes this little like cord that keeps it clasped closed, and he ties that up. And you see, he smiles with a nod. And he says, "By your leave, then, my lord."
Aye.
He gives you a slight bow as he exits out the doorway, with Lord Tannen shutting the door behind him. You see Tannen looks back and kind of looks at you all, and just kind of pauses momentarily, but he puts his hand like on his chest as though he's thinking. Hard to say.
Did the Parnell leave?
Parneal has gone, yes.
My lord.
We're not actually going to pay that, right?
Well,
That little shit.
my first thought was that if you had a private message from another region to another country and they disclosed the communications with a third party, wouldn't it be quite offensive to the Moor? We don't know him that well, but if my private email was just forwarded to someone else to prove something, and I would think that might be a sign of disrespect.
The guild is overstepping hardcore.
I mean, Lord Gladnell could make the argument that the guild is just another advisor to him, the same that we are. But the bottom line is that Miali needs to suffer the consequences of her own actions.
Yeah, we don't know why the Moor is punishing the guild. It's not because of what I wrote, and for us to disclose exactly what we wrote to the Moor might make two enemies in one effort.
Perhaps on the same level. There's nothing that we wrote them that would be compromising.
But it would just be a sign of non. It would be a sign of just non-discretion with communications, with distrust. That's all I'm saying.
And you're setting a precedence that anytime she comes in here and she says, "I want to see your correspondence," I mean, it's kind of setting the tone there.
Yeah, that too.
You need to reach out to mommy every time.
You guys are.
I mean, that's literally what the
misunderstanding what
agreement we agreed to. Is that we
Yes,
have to check with mommy every time.
Yes, I agree, Serena, right? But on the same level, you guys, we are not here to negatively influence any relations with the guild right at this moment. We do not carry the strength nor power to be able to go up against them.
How do we know that? How do we know what is required?
I would like to direct your attention to the domain sheet, and you can look at the levels of law that she holds over us.
Thank you.
But she didn't ask for a proof of what we even wrote them more. It was just money. So
I offered proof for my own reason, and that was to not cause any ill will between us and the guild. Just give her an area of peace to know that we are not going behind her back and backstabbing her, that her actions cause these exact repercussions. And sure, this penalty she is assessing upon us, I'm sure 1 gold bar is much less than her seizing an extra holding or a troop unit or anything similar. But on the same level, she's flexing her power, like Tavard said. She wants to show her strength, and she knows that the Moor inflicted their penalty based upon her actions. But she wants us to feel like it was our fault and not her own. That's it.
Well, she also then clearly, I mean, she may know that we've had a letter sent to the Moor, but she obviously didn't read it. And if she did, and she just using it as why would she say that we said something rude in the correspondence if she really read it? So that's the other red flag in this. That's the other fly in this pie.
My assumption is that the Moor has implicated some kind of penalty on the guild, that of which they probably won't reveal to us, but I'm sure once we travel to the Moor and talk to Derek and Michael again that we'll learn what. But obviously the Moor would not leave what they did unpunished.
Yeah, but what I'm
surrounding
saying,
the sun.
What I'm saying is that okay, we said nothing about the guild in an ill manner. Obviously, yes, the Moor is just charging the guild extra or punishing the guild. But if we give her, then she'll get more intel about our communications with the Moor, and it not only would distrust our communications with the Moor, she would also gain more intelligence about what we actually said to the Moor. Because I think, based on this, she doesn't know what we wrote in that letter. She just knows that we gave him a letter.
And that's fair, Dean. But let me ask you, in the 2 letters that you wrote, I'm not reading anything that would cause any trouble with Miele knowing this information.
Yeah, but what it sets, it just shows that we are giving her intel of our private communications with another nation, and we would
That
rather
she
not
already
do that.
has.
No, she doesn't have,
She-
because if she had it, she wouldn't be using it as an accusation to us. She's making it up. She only
Why
knows
do
that
you
a
think
letter
she's
was
making it up?
so that she can extort us for money. I don't think she's actually read the letter. She knows that there was a letter. Maybe he said something to Miele about how Michael was treated here, and she blames us because she knows we sent the letter. I do not think that she knows it, because if she knows what we wrote, this would be a bad fake. This would be a bad bluff, because that's not at all what we said in the letter. So we have an advantage here.
And how would you play the advantage?
Well,
We still have to
don't.
pay.
Yeah, I don't know how long we could delay that, but I strongly recommend we do not give up this private communication with another nation to the guild, unless it's written in the bylaws that you referenced.
Just want to remind you that this is not like private pigeon carrying back and forth, that every time that we contact the Moor, it's a massive diplomatic, the entire court is involved. So it's not very private anyways.
That's fine, my lord. These are just my 2 cents.
And
I
that's
thought it
fair,
was
but
3 cents, to be honest with you.
I don't like handing over correspondence, but on the same level, I think that we have to think about each move we do with the guild very carefully.
Well, they just want the money. Sounds like. So why don't we just give them the money
That's
until
fair.
we
We'll give
until
them
we
the
don't
money.
have to?
Because it's
You don't have to get.
extortion. Let's sneak in there and slit their throats tonight.
There we go.
Ooh,
Serial killer in need of work. How old is Miele?
She might be a little outside the range.
Yeah.
We just need to bag up the serial killer and throw him into the guild somewhere.
right now we're the little guy. They can just push us around.
We've only been
I
doing
am
this
not
a
little.
month. We have not gained anything yet except one battle victory, that's all. But we lost 400 troops in that exchange. We're still learning. It would be foolish of us to take on the guild right now. And yes, they're trying to extort us for money, but we know that. We knew that they would make their hand well known immediately. They're using
Well,
this financial penalty from the Moor as their leverage to collect from us, to remind us that they have the power, so to speak. And we just need to play into their hand for now. We don't need to give them any reason to suspect us of operating in any ill will towards them. It's all part of the plan.
whenever it's not right now, I am ready to fight them.
I know you
I'll
are,
train you
Dean.
on stealth.
And I know all of you and how you feel about them, and I look at Dean, especially you. You have to understand that this is my home too. And what I saw them do to my people, they tied them to palisades. Some were near death, in one of the worst storms I've ever seen. My brother died. We were all attacked. We were all near death. On top of that, we see what they've done to our land. We see how they ran the land before we were here. We were a joke. I need you all to understand. It is not my intention to let them get away with it. But you have to trust that when we make our move, it will be well calculated and executed, and the chance of our success will be greatly increased by doing it at the right time.
At least level 8.
Maybe even 10. But at the end of the day, I owe all of you my life. This seat of power I hold is because you all helped me get here. The battles you fought, the battles we lost and learned from. And I know it frustrates you when you see that man and what he represents. But I just bid you all to be patient. Allow the guild to make their moves, to make their hands shown. We already know they're operating with some kind of mercenary group. Well, I thought that's what he was going to talk about, to be honest, and I'm quite glad he didn't bring it up. All he talked about was money, and not the fact that we sent Invisible Spider-Man into their camp. And I look at Tannen and I kind of wave at him. Yes, I know, Tannen. We'll fill you in. But at the end of the day, everyone, we all share the same goal here. That goal is the safety of the people within this province. To call home, Mieli is a dictator. She's evil. We know this. But she is strong. If we attack a strong foe at the wrong time, what happens? Anyone?
Sorry, my
you.
lord. All I meant to say was I would recommend not disclosing the contents of our communications with the Moor. I think we should go to war with them. Just to be clear.
I agree. Sounds like most
And
of the council is in agreement to you, so we will tell Parnio that we chose to keep the correspondence more private, but in the same manner, we do not want it to be disrespectful. So, we have to pay though. And while the punishment may sound severe, we can work around it and we can figure a way out to get it back. But now we see our moves and what they do. Not just moves here, but our moves with the Moor. They pissed two people off, apparently. Both the goblins and the guild has now had a little bit of tightening around their throats. So I say what we did was great.
that had nothing to do with us. That was solely because she, took away all of his protections and tricked him.
In a
That's his own.
roundabout way. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't talk about that. They did. Anyways. But whenever you're ready to go to war, I'm ready. But in the interest of presumably avoiding that, should we be sending letters to all of the connecting countries to introduce
Probably smart.
yourself?
Probably smart, yes. So perhaps, well, Tannen, how long do we have until the petitioners come?
We have a couple of hours still, my lord.
All right. Well, then let's work on a draft. We've got Doson, Thorazor, Torheville, and the Five Peaks. Although the Five Peaks, I'm not quite sure who we are supposed to correspond with there.
Yeah, maybe the eyeless one.
Considering we have is Revenant, not really a Revenant, but you get what I mean, imprisoned.
You might have to send like a verbal message too to him.
Alright, but just a simple introduction. A shift in power, saying hello, hoping that our nations can seek peace and prosperity with one another. The main threat being the Gorgon to our south.
Gorgon is actually to your east.
East.
Yeah, that's what we got to hammer home with the elves because they're going to want to help with that.
Well, we also have to think about how our people would respond to us allying with an elven nation. Although I do not
What
have
is that? What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it, but think about other people outside of this room, Blixel.
Their time's over. It's our time to run this place.
I don't know if that's the best way of saying it. You have to remember, elves and Anwirians, they fought for generations.
We want the goblins to run us over. That's what will happen if the elves don't align with us.
maybe we should meet the man first. Same with the Baroness. And maybe we can invite this King of the Goblins to some kind of tournament or something. Tell him to bring some strong, great warriors, and we'll have some, and we can settle battleground disputes in an arena instead. That sounds fun.
Sounds good. And if I can challenge him to single combat and take his kingdom by defeating him, let's do that too. Here it comes.
Aye, a king versus king. All right. Well, I don't think we need to make any kind of diplomatic relationships with anybody, but I think you're right, Serena. Just saying hello and introducing ourselves.
Whatever gets us quicker to slaughtering the guild.
And let's do a quick conversation about our petitioners, just so we can have a reminder of what we're going to say to them. We've got the butcher, who's had 2 attempts on his life from long range. Somebody's been shooting at him. How are we going to respond to that one?
I gotta save him.
Your response is
Well.
going to be that General Serena is working on a structure for the law enforcement to get their acts together, and that we should be improving our investigations into the criminal activities in the city as a whole, and it's beneath you, my lord, to get into little attempted murder plots.
Aye, and what about increasing the patrols in that area of town? It appears that it seems that it's less patrolled than other areas.
Tell him it's done. I'll put it in the new structure.
All right. He is a private petitioner, though, so perhaps he's got some more information about it that he doesn't want the general public to know. And then next we have another private petitioner, this Gregory Cloudfang, who was that porter who had his friend had that pickpocketed that stolen ring. That one
Sorry,
seems pretty straightforward.
the dogs in the next room started barking very loudly. What was the question?
Well, our next one is about the petitioner who had the pickpocket. He's got that stolen ring. He's coming to us in private. How should we handle that one, friends?
We're gonna confiscate it and find out who his buddy is.
All right, quick and to the point. Blixel, did you have a chance to talk to the locksmith before today to talk about fixing the castle doors?
I'm not sure, Adam. Was I able to do that before?
If it's something that you wanted to have done, then we can assume that it is something you got out to do. Just to try to make it quick, I would say throw me a blind check here. And your goal when you go to speak with him is what specifically?
I want to find out a little bit more details about who the person was that came and asked him for the key, like making the master key or whatever. And then I want to make sure he's sort of not a shady guy himself, just trying to get a way to change all the locks so he can get in. But if he seems legit, I'll have him change all the locks.
Okay, blind check.
Should I just drag my token on there?
I just want to state I vote for a third party. I find
Scroll out, you can see
motivations
Yeah, your
very
token should be on the right side of the screen.
Does anybody else
Oh,
find that
maybe.
suspicious?
I like that he's coming to us, Serena. That he did not just keep it private.
Me too, but as far as the changing of the locks, I mean, for the person to be instigating the change, to be the person that does the change, seems ill-advised.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll ask another person. I can't see my token.
Maybe
me
just
neither.
refresh. Mine actually just locked in as well. I had to refresh so I could zoom out.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you said blind check?
Yep. Okay, so what you're able to get from Mr. Commonbrook is that the person that came to see him was an Enwerian man. He wore pretty common type clothes. He presumed that this guy was like a laborer of some kind, but he did notice after the fact that the man kind of kept his head down most of the time, as though like he was looking at the countertop and didn't like look Mr. Commonbrook in the face hardly at all. So it was almost like after the fact he realized, oh yeah, that he was kind of acting a little bit strange. As far as the other question was, you decided not to hire this guy to replace the lock. So yeah, that's what you learned then.
Okay, cool. So not much is that except he was an Anwerian man, and it looked like a laborer.
Yeah,
Okay,
he could give you dark hair, but that's about all he could give you.
okay. Um, so I tell him that if that guy comes back to let us know. Um, and but I try to find the most reputable locksmith in town and hire him to change the locks in the castle.
Okay, so after you speak with Mr. Commonbrook, he essentially says to you, "Oh, so I probably don't need to come to talk to you anymore since you are on the council, and I told you I don't need to come anymore, right? Right?"
Um, yeah, I guess, but if more counselors have questions, they may come find you.
He seems okay with that, so he seems relieved almost that he doesn't have to go any longer. And then once you leave his shop and you look around for a reputable locksmith, go ahead and throw me another blind check. So you ask around to some people in town, and it seems the general consensus is there's like two main locksmiths in town that are fairly reputable. One kind of is more the day to day. He works on like commoners' homes, and he works on like merchants' buildings, that kind of thing. And then there's somebody else that's a little bit higher up, who it seems like most of the high end merchants and the noble class seem to work with. He's at least advertises himself as being a great locksmith with really complex locks that are very, very difficult to break. So essentially, you get the idea that one is middle price and one is expensive.
I'm going expensive.
Okay, so he lets you know that he will visit the castle, and you're trying to get like literally every lock in the castle replaced, or just certain ones.
I would say the important ones and the ones leading to like our chambers.
Okay, he tells you that he will give you a quote, and like he's got basically like a guard or an attendant that follows him around, and as he examines the various locks and takes some notes, and then he'll get back to you with a quote.
Okay, sounds good. Sooner rather than later, there's an extra 20 golden for you.
He sort of gives you a little bit of a like a oh well, this again kind of look, but he nods and tells you he'll do it as quickly as he can.
Okay. That's it. I fill everyone in on what he told me when I come back in the council meeting.
Okay.
All right. So then the last private guy is Helena. There's not much information about her, just an agent. All I have written down is connect to famous person. Anything more about that lady?
I don't think we know anything yet.
All right. Oh, and I propose that we take our public petitioners first this time, Tannen, so we can have the banker come after his public display as a private petitioner, so we can talk specifics.
Lord Tannen nods. Certainly, my lord, I can make that be the case.
And then this bounty hunter. The rest of it seems pretty trivial, but the bounty hunter at least piques my ears. Do we have anybody that needs to be hunted?
Not yet.
No one's got any evil backstory villains they need taken care of.
I
Cerilia.
got a serial killer.
Why are you looking at me?
Wasn't there some dude that like followed you around because he thought you were some witch or something?
Well, we kind of dealt with that problem. A little bit.
You mean we delivered his unconscious body to Darwin?
He wasn't unconscious, but we resolved the situation without anyone on either side dying, except for those strange people he was with, I suppose.
Gotta have at least a couple people die.
I do like the idea of hiring the bounty hunter to take on the serial killer, but I also wouldn't want it to hurt the reputation or feelings of Sergeant Morningstar and his newfound encouragement to get this done.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they would uncover that these folks working on it have not been able to.
Yeah, and honestly, a bounty hunter set of skills is different from finding this person.
All right then. So maybe we'll just tell them their services are not needed currently. All right. Well, I think that's it. We'll probably be able to handle the rest. And oh, we do agree that the Evelyn lady, who, if she gives us a nice enough reason and she's not a crazy mad scientist, that will give us some nihiladium, right?
Even if she is a bad scientist, I say give it to her.
All right.
Should we discuss first what we're going to do about the mercenary captain? Before we, throw it in there.
The red-haired Ryuvan lady. Well, if once we see her, we'll be able to recognize her. Or at least me or Dean would.
Right, but what are we going to say? Are we just going to confront her directly, or are we going to try subtlety, which has not historically been our strong suit, but anything is worth trying?
Well, we know they're in connection with the guild, so if we try anything public, we have to remember that the guild will know.
We did ask to convert this to a private meeting, but yes, if she's in connection with the guild, she will obviously tell them what we discussed.
I gotta see what she says to me to know what I'm gonna say to her. You gotta live in the moment, you know?
If we arrested her, they would know. I mean, it's documented
Arrest
that she's
her?
been here today.
I think the likely complaint would be that Blixel's the father, but that's just a reach, I guess.
You'll see. Those charges are trumped up.
Well, either way, I don't think handling it is. Sorry. Sorry, choked on my Kool-Aid. Either way, I don't think handling it today would be the best move. But a good conversation and getting eyes on it, because it could be a different woman. I mean, Ryuvan women are well known to be red-haired, and she has a whole unit of 200 cavalry soldiers. The unit we saw was just 30 or 40 people. So I have a suspicion that they're not related, but in case they are, I think we just establish that that person, who they are, what they want, etc., etc. We have more information about them, and then we can commit a little espionage.
Yeah, I feel like we shouldn't hire them because the risk of them doing something is pretty high.
And they're expensive. Holy shit. 12,000 gold pieces. That's ridiculous. Who the fuck do they think they are? Fucking horses? Shit gold?
Soldiers are expensive.
Alright. Well,
Worth it
I
though.
think that's pretty much everything, unless anyone else has anything they want to bring up to this council meeting.
Well, counselors, while there's still a little bit of time before your petitioners, we might discuss what your plan is to do in order to perhaps update the books or do something else to benefit the realm, aka your second realm action. Lord Tannen kind of looks around at you all and says, if any of you have any ideas, then perhaps now would be a good time to discuss them. If not, I do have one potential interesting suggestion for you.
Well, let's hear your suggestion first, Tannen.
Well, this is a bit of a reach, but it struck me as a potentially interesting option. So we know that we have funded the expedition into the Five Peaks into Punal, and we know that that was a success, and there was not, well, there was no kind of retribution or anything along those lines. The lands of the Five Peaks are very chaotic. Each province is sort of a domain into its own and so forth. And as such, because of the chaos, no one really has tried to build anything of note there, any kind of real holdings for the most part. There's a few smatterings here and there, is my understanding. But because we are so close to them, what if we were to build a guild in the province of Punal? If we did so, it would give us a foothold. Of course, you'd have to protect it, which we could fortify the holding while we grow it. It would, of course, require some investment, but, well, it would be a guild holding and allow you to start perhaps making some money. Obviously, it would take quite a bit of time to turn a profit, but perhaps it would be a good start.
I absolutely love the idea, Tannen. And I've thought about that as well, considering we were able to find some ore there, and we have a resident dwarf here. We could try something along the mining side for guild. I'm sure it's obvious that this nihiladium is potentially beneficial to multiple different provinces, so we could see if we could find more or any other types of rare ore in the area.
Sounds good to me, as long as you don't think the goblin's going to try to kill us again.
The Five
Counselor, do
Peaks
you
is
mean
more.
Thurazor?
Yeah, he's real mad that we didn't reach out to him. Can we reach out to him somehow and still get this thing done?
Well, he's not. Thorazor and Five Peaks are two different places.
I know, I'm
Yes.
just saying he might get mad if we don't reach out.
Well, I thought that's what you guys were doing. You guys were drawing up correspondence to the extra provinces.
Oh, okay. I think I see what you're saying here. So, quick out of character note: just sending a note to somebody doesn't constitute like a diplomacy action. So you could still create holding and send a note if you wish. The only reason you would use a diplomacy action would be for like actually forging of an alliance or something official. Just sending a note doesn't require an action.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good question, though.
it would be helpful to have a revenue stream divorced from the Carelian Guild's holdings.
Aye, and if the Five Peaks are chaotic, then we can expect bandits and brigands, but probably nothing more than a few scrapped together mercenary bands here and there. And maybe we could get some pushback, but we do know that the eyeless one is on the far side.
And from what little I know of these matters, counselors, you see, it is possible for a ruler of a province to militarily destroy holdings in the province. So, of course, if the chieftain or whoever it is that owns Punal decided to attack our fledgling guild holding, they would likely be able to destroy it. So we have a couple of options. We could just see how it goes, or we could try to fortify it. Fortifying it is expensive, of course, but then it would be protected from any kind of attacks.
Aye, but the fortification fee wouldn't be as expensive because it's not a super large holding yet. Once it got more expensive, then it would probably grow in price, but I think you're onto a good track there, Tan, and I like the way you're thinking.
He
Council
nods
members,
for
what do you think?
Well, we know that their their political situation over there is in flux, but do we have any idea who the current chieftain in Punal is? We might be able to arrange a deal if we were to establish trade with them or something through the mining guild's establishment. We might be able to work something out.
It's a great idea. However, I thought it was wasn't it warlords or something like that?
From what I know, counselors, the leader of each individual province seems to change quite frequently as one tribe takes control, and then through some custom, the leader's head's cut off, or blood rights. There's all sorts of different things that can happen where one chieftain is overthrown for another.
And how do we think the guild would respond to us expanding over that way?
Hard to say, of course, my lord. They could respond in any which way, but they obviously have never invested money there. Maybe they decided it wasn't worth the effort, and obviously it would be an uphill battle for us with the chaos there. But I don't know that they would necessarily be immediately hostile to the idea.
I could see them wanting the extra trees, though.
Anything is
Either way,
possible.
I do like the
Especially
idea.
at the rate that they're going through them.
What is the, I'm sorry, Adam, what are maps under again? I can't find it. Is it in player handouts? Yep, I'm sorry, I found it. So many little things in this one.
I know this is a very big campaign world.
Punal is large, guys. I like the idea also because it would connect us to Moriad. We would only have a river barrier instead of a mountain barrier. Forgive me, but Sufani, as I'm looking at this map, the bottom part of the Five Peaks, what is that, desert or mountainous or plains, or what kind of region is that?
I would have to check my maps, my lord, but I believe it is hilly plains.
And Alamy, are they, what do we know about them?
The nation of Elamier?
Yes.
They are ruled by a duke who is constantly at war, or at least some form of aggression, with Tornin. At one point in time, Elamier and Tornin used to be one nation, and then it broke apart, and ever since then, the duke and successors of his bloodline have always tried to take the lands of Tornin back, but haven't been very successful.
So it sounds like their feud is always to the west, and they don't extend outward any other direction, eh?
Well, that is the general thrust of their ambitions, but every nation has various reactions, relationships with other domains. Hard to say for sure.
I like the idea of speaking to a potential duke who is fighting against another person who may need some iron. Yeah, so I'm liking the way this could work out, and it could help us find some iron for the rat folk as well. If we mine it, then we can control the price of it.
I say let's do it. This is why we pay Tannen the big bucks. These are kind of ideas.
You notice he kind of has a little smile on his face as you say this, Blixel.
Any objections?
That would be the create holding action, right?
You got it.
Tannen?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that one out of character since that's like an out of character
Sure,
thing.
yeah.
It certainly is, yes.
Regent wishing to establish a holding in a province where he has no holdings. So this would create a 0 holding then, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Which we could then obviously build up, but the next action after that would be fortify. Which, let me look at that. 4 gold bars per holding level. I like it. Well, everybody, if we do the create holding action, it's got a well, I'll wait for Noah to get back, I guess, but it's got a base DC of 10, obviously, and a base cost of just 1 gold bar. So obviously we can spend gold bar and regency points to influence it. Creation of a holding can be opposed or supported by any regent with a similar holding in the province, as well as by the province ruler. So I don't know the exact amount of influence the current war chief has in that area, but it may be maybe a -1 subtracted from the DC or added to the DC, so an 11. We've got outside of that, we've got 7 regency points left. And remember, if we go below 0 or knock below 0 for regency points, then I lose bloodline strength, and then that means that we lose regency point gain on the next season. And then we've got 12 gold bars and 12 and 1,300, so 12.13. So that would take us to 11 at a minimum. I think if we could try to get it to like a DC 5, that would be good for us. Good odds. And we could split the difference between gold bars and regency points. We could do 2 regency points, take us to 5. And then we could do 3 gold bars in addition. And that would take us down to 9. And then when we talk to this banker, we could get a loan back. You know, get some money back, hopefully.
I think that's the way to go. But yeah, we might want to take a loan out afterwards.
Also, we got to remember the guild penalty. So just go ahead and just think in our minds -1 gold bar on this one too. So that would bring us to 10 gold bars, and then if we took 3, that would then bring us down to 7.13 gold bars. But it's good timing with this banker here to give us a loan. We just have to think about the rates and what we would have to owe back and how to pay it back, obviously, and stuff. But I like the idea. What do you guys think?
No objections. We can't just sit here and let Mealy get richer while we flounder. So we need to start building up infrastructure to oppose her. And I think this is a good way to do it.
Yes, and I don't think she would have too much complaints with it because we're going to do mining, right? So we wouldn't influence the trees. And we could even do something where we could make a deal with her that any area we clear for mining, we'll just give her the trees that we clear also to kind of
Nah,
get her
fuck
off
her.
the
She's
back.
not involved in this. She doesn't get a hand in it.
Well,
If she asks,
still,
we can talk about it, but we're not going to offer her shit. Fuck her.
that only if she asks, yes.
100%.
But we don't freely offer nothing, no. But if she wants some kind of concession about it, then we can offer something along those lines.
Let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
All right. All right, Adam. Well, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to try the create holding action in Punal. We're going to spend, obviously, the cost to do so, the base cost of 1, but we're going to spend an additional 3 gold bars plus 2 Regency points. That would give us a DC of 5, hopefully.
So with create holding, I don't think you can use gold bars to increase your chances. You'll notice there it says blah blah blah, and then it says these regions can also spend Regency points to influence the DC.
So it's only Regency points. Okay.
How many are we theoretically getting back when we?
I get the same amount as my bloodline strength or domain power, whichever is less, which is 18. So we would get 18 back at the turn of the season. So
Okay.
if we did, yeah, but if somebody were to like do something against us, right, and it takes our Regency points below 0, then it could hurt us coming around. But I think it's a little risky, but we might as well risk it. So
Yeah, we don't want to fail this.
Yeah, 5 Regency points.
5 out of how many? 7 we had?
And that would leave us 2 left, yeah.
Okay, I'm down with it. Everybody else is.
Can we get some eyes around the table? Tavard?
Good to go.
Dean?
Aye.
Good? Celine?
Yep.
Serena?
Hi.
Blixel?
Yeah.
All right, there you have it, Adam. We'll do 5 Regency points to influence the DC.
5 Regency points, all right. Okay, that is going to set your DC to 5, so you'd have to roll a d20, get a 5 or higher. Who's doing that roll?
Well, we didn't have to roll
Got
the
it.
first one, did we? Because it was automatic.
Yes.
I think it should be Bill.
Well, hang on. What if we
Well, hang
let's
on.
all roll a d20 and Lois has to do it. That's the only fair way. And then
You
we'll
don't
start
want my roll.
Let's do it. All d20s.
I feel like the regent should be, whatever. That's a D12, my friend.
Now I still rolled a 6. That's crazy. Oh, Blixel with the 4. All right, where's that Bill luck? Nice. All right, that's Blixel.
Wait,
All right,
all
Blixel.
right.
No
Roll
modifications.
for this
Just gotta roll higher than a 5, big dog.
Actually,
boy.
5 or higher. So it's a DC 5. You just need a 5 or higher.
We just needed.
Oh my god. I rolled a 3.
Oh no! Can
That
we
is a
inspiration
failure.
that?
Unfortunately, no. All right, so you guys have attempted to create this holding. You've spent the money and the resources, but this is an example of, you get this group together, you have this whole, kind of mission, you get the, all the tools, you have everything getting ready, and for some reason it doesn't work, and we will explain why that is at a later time, but you could probably guess a couple of potential reasons. But all right, you guys have set those actions in motion. And Lord Tannen then looks and says, okay, great that we have decided this. And then if you're ready for your petitioners, we can meet at the throne room. Is there any other matters you'd like to discuss before we take a brief respite before the public petitioners first?
I want exterminators to come to the castle And kill any rabbits you see.
Okay. I can see what I can do.
Okay, good. I saw a rabbit in here. So,
Well, if they're small, then that is not all that unusual. Rabbits are known to be in the area, and they could certainly have gotten in through some small cracks and things in the castle. But, well, yes, I will see what I can do.
all right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and if there's nothing else, then Lord Tana will take his leave, and you guys basically have, let's say, an hour. If there's anything specific that you're wanting to do, let me know. Otherwise, we can fast forward to your public petitioners. Okay, hearing nothing, it sounds like everybody is ready. So let's go ahead and move us to the throne room. All right, so after a brief respite here, maybe grabbing a quick bite to eat or a drink, you eventually make your way to the throne room. The guards and the attendants here are waiting to allow anybody in until you're all in. Once you're all in and situated appropriately with Vin on the throne, the rest of the team on a long table on the east side of the room there, the attendants then ask if there's anything else that you need before they allow everybody to enter.
Just some water for everybody.
The attendant nods, and you get the impression that, yeah, that's kind of a given. All right, if there's nothing else specific, then the doors are opened, and you see the public, for what it is, begins to enter the throne room proper. Most of them wait over in the wing there on the west side of the room. You're kind of just eyeballing, watching as people enter. You notice Lord Tannen talking to a couple of people here and there as folks kind of filter on in. Somewhat surprisingly, perhaps, you notice a red-haired woman wearing a metal helmet enters and goes to the lobby area. Or the wing, I should say, not the lobby, the wing on the left side there. The sitting, or the gallery, I think is the appropriate term. So she does take a seat in the gallery. Some of you recognize this individual, perhaps, but I'll go ahead and reveal this to all.
I elbowed in. Is that her?
Yes, that's her.
Oh.
All right, with everybody kind of filtering into the room here and getting situated, the attendants handing out drinks and fruit and that kind of thing, eventually you hear like a little bit of a trumpet sound as things are being called to order. And you notice Lord Tannen looks up towards you, Vin, and he says, "My lord, are you ready for your first petitioner?"
Just a moment, Tannen, and I'll kind of walk down to like here and try to get everybody's attention. And I'll say, hello, friends and neighbors, ladies and gentlemen. We are thankful that you've come today to listen to the petitioners of our court. As you know, I am not my uncle. I'm way more handsome, obviously. But that's besides the point. To my to my left here is my counsel. I don't know if you've all had the pleasure of meeting them yet, but as they go around town, be sure to say hello. We are here to help this place become stronger, safer, and unfortunately, we recently lost many soldiers in a battle on our borders as we were invaded by goblins. To anyone who had family members lost in these battles, I offer my condolences and want to let you know that they died heroes protecting our borders. They won, and they forced the goblins away. In spite of that, we still lost many Carolinians. And I want you to know that the council and I have decided that we are going to work on building a monument for those lost. That's all. I hope you all have a great day today. And I'll turn around and walk back towards my chair.
Go ahead and throw me a blind check, Vin.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll throw a hero point on it at him.
This is just to see if you make it back to the throne room chair without falling down.
What a banana peel.
Well, so that's good that I had the hero point then.
That would have been so embarrassing.
You notice most of the folks in the gallery seem to be perhaps impressed with your brief speech here. You notice several of them kind of nodding along as you're talking, and once you're done and you kind of turn, there's even a little bit of a clap that picks up and grows as you make your way back to your chair.
This is going to go straight to his head.
Turn and I sit down and I like wave towards Tannen, like give him the signal that we're ready.
All right, so the first petitioner is escorted in. You notice a man who appears to be in his middle to late ages. You see as he enters, he's wearing kind of upscale cloth clothing. You could think of this as what you'd presume to be maybe a merchant or a businessman of some kind, but probably more on the upper end of that scale, as it seems as though he is pretty well adorned. As he enters, you see he smiles towards all of you, and he gives like sort of an elaborate bow to the counselors, and then to you, the count, and then he also looks over to the gallery with a brief bow in that direction, and he says, "Greetings, my lord, counselors, and all the other great men and women who are here today. I would like to introduce myself. I am Claudin Heights, and I am a banker here in Carolinian. My interests are seeing the prosperous nation of Cariele advance. I would love to see money flowing in the streets and seeing everybody have the things they need. And everything, of course, costs money, as we all know. And in that regard, I would like to make a loan available to this great regency of Cariele. To you, the Count and Councilors, you could use this money for a variety of things. As I am sure you have already learned, ruling a land is not cheap at all. Ha ha ha. So, at a time that is most appropriate, we can discuss the details, the specifics, but I wanted to make sure everybody here was aware that all of us are trying to do the best we can to aid the great nation here, and those who have been given much, much is owed from."
Awesome. So are you from here?
He smiles. "Oh, yes, counselor. I have lived in Carolinian for the past decade or so now, but originally I come from the north."
Oh. And it's all your money that you're lending out?
"I have been quite successful in my business endeavors, counselor. So, yes, indeed, it is the earnings that I have made over quite a many years of sound financial decisions."
Very impressive.
And you see he beams as you say this.
Well, Clayton, we knew of your arrival, and the council got together and talked about it. We're going to have you drop by later to talk privately with these details like you discussed on the specifics of these loans. But we are appreciative of your offer and thankful that you share the same ideals for growing this nation as we do.
"I would be most honored, my lord, to speak with you at a later time of your convenience. Please have your people send for me whenever is appropriate, and I shall come promptly."
You can see Lord Tannenbosch on your way out, Clayton. He will talk to you about the details. We've already given them to him.
And you see he kind of gives you a nod, but you get like a little like a twerk on the corner of his lip. "Yes, of course, my lord. I will see Lord Tannen and make the arrangements. Have a blessed day to you and to all."
Thank you, Lord Cladding. We appreciate you.
And you
Are you doing
see,
this on purpose?
he has a little bit of a grimace on his face as he turns and walks out.
I kind of look over at the council members and I kind of shake my head.
Lord Tannen looks towards the chair and to the council to see if you're ready for your next petitioner.
Bring them forth, Tannen.
He gives you a nod, and once again you hear the trumpet, and Lord Tannen looks and he says, "Next to address the court is Mr. Anson Keenseeker. He is a tailor here in Cerilia." You notice a man approaching you here. He walks very slowly. He's sturdy. He's obviously older, but he's quite a sturdy fella. You notice as he's walking, he has this very intense look upon his face. He has this small sort of cloth cap upon his head, and you see he approaches and he pulls the cloth cap off where you can then see his fully white hair, and he brings his hat to the center of his chest. And you see he looks at you all and he says, "Counselors, my lord, I am Anson Keenseeker. I've come here to inform you and to hope to get your assistance. My daughter, Laudine, was murdered here in Cerilia. I've spoken with the guards and they've said that they're looking into it, but I've gotten no answers thus far. When I've tried to inquire further, I've been rebuffed multiple times. The guards tell me that they are looking into this matter, but they have found nothing out. It has been too long. Something must be done. I would ask that you do what is ever in your power to make sure that this crime does not go unpunished."
Mr. Keenseeker, I feel for you and the loss of your daughter. And I want you to know that we've already made some moves on improving the relations between the guards and the people, bringing matters to them, a chain of command, if you will, on who to speak to and how investigations are done. Hearing about this caused all of us to twinge and hurt in our heart. Serena, Lord General, and I point over to her. She has more details for you and what she's done to try to improve this.
You see he nods towards you, Van, and he turns and looks at you, Serena. You notice his eyes are a little bit puffy. You get the impression like he's doing what he can to hold his emotions back.
I would even go a step further, Lord, and say that as a result of your daughter's death, there will be large restructuring of the way that policing is done in the city, and we will do everything we can to ensure that this never happens again. And of course, continue our intense search for her killer. This experience of her loss is teaching our guards to work together in new ways in the interest of catching her killer. So I can say that there have been wide sweeping changes that are in the midst of occurring to make sure that no family has to go through what you've been through.
Give me a blind check, Serena.
Just a moment. It looks like my computer went to sleep.
Uh-oh.
I was inspired.
Yeah, I was about to say, that was a great speech. Felt serious and direct.
All right, and as the computer's being oh, there we go. So you will notice as you say this, he kind of grips his hat more tightly and almost looking like he's on the verge of tearing it apart. And he says, "Ma'am, if I might be so bold, I have heard these same things from the guards multiple times. They're looking into things. They're trying to do things. Things will change, but I've not seen any changes. If I can be so bold, I strode through the richer areas of this fair city the last few days, and I see guards much more frequently than I see them by my house. I hardly see guards in my area. I know that there is more money in the richer areas, and the people there have more coin to pay the guards to protect things. But I would think, as the leader of the guards here, you would want to make sure that all areas of the city are protected. I need more than words. I need promises. I need actions. I need this killer brought to justice now.
I'll stand up and kind of walk down the stairs towards him. Mr. Keenseeker, please do not mistake our words as similar words to what you've heard before, although they may sound similar. Our influence, although young and new to this regency, we understand what is before us. You look like you've lived here a while. I'm sure you remember my father. He was a stern, strong man. I can't remember how he ruled because I was yanked from my mother's bosom as a babe. So yes, I understand what loss is like. All of us do. None of us want to live in a city where loss can happen and happen frequently. All I ask, Mr. Keenseeker, is that you give us a little trust to make the changes we need to, and understand that to make an entire guard patrol change does not happen simply overnight, but it is something that we are orchestrating and making sure is made and done correctly. And when we find your killers, your daughter's killer, he will be brought to justice, as will any killer. Any killer in our cities or nation will be investigated. I want this place safe.
All right, Vin, give me a blind check.
I've got 2 inspirations at him, so I'll use one.
Okay.
I guess I'll just hit the button now and then give you a blind check. Shoot, can I use that check? Shit.
You notice he kind of looks at you for a moment, and it's like you're not sure how he's going to react. He's really pulling at that hat, and he's kind of like rotating his hands and then pulling it. You see his hands are getting like kind of red from the stress, but eventually you notice he kind of nods for a moment. It's almost like you see him breathe in as though he had maybe been holding his breath, and then you see he wipes quickly at his face. Thank you, my lord. I just ask. I know you don't have any children of your own, but understand that it is a piece of my heart that has gone missing. Bring this killer to justice as soon as you can. That is all I ask.
I'll put my hand on his shoulder and say, I will. And I'll like kind of lift his chin up. I don't think your daughter would want you to be crying like this. She would want you to show strength. Show some strength, Lord Keenseeker. And trust us.
You see he nods slowly, and then he takes a hand off of the hat, and he reaches his hand forward in like a shake your hand gesture.
And I will. I'll shake his hand.
He has a very solid grip as he does so, and he shakes your hand firmly, and then you see he nods at you and pats you on the shoulder with his other hand, and he says, I will trust you to this. Make it so. And then you see he turns and makes his way to the door.
And I'll kind of take a breath in. And I'll look over at Serena, because I know she's feeling for it right now. She wants to go make the change right now. And then I'll kind of walk back to my chair.
I believe I'll add to the restructuring a survey of the residents of the city and any feedback that they have for the way things have been working thus far.
A grand idea, General. These are our people. We must take care of them.
Lord Tannen eyes the crowd in the gallery and looks across you all and then looks back up towards you, Ben, and he says, "My lord, are you ready for the next petitioner?"
Aye, bring him forward.
All right, same kind of rigmarole as before. And once again, you notice eventually the trumpet sound, and an individual is escorted into the room. This is an Enwerian woman. You notice she's probably also in her middle years, if you had to guess. You see she steps forward and she says, my lord, counselors, yes, I'm Jade Carthright, and I am the innkeeper. I sent ahead a correspondence about the situation with the ale. I got a bad batch in my inn, and oh well, you see, it's just really done a number on my business. You see, the bad batch it's affected everything, and it is sort of, well, it's caused a lot of my customers to not come back. Your folks asked me if I had kept the barrel, and I did indeed. I had it marked with a big red X on the barrel and put off into the corner to make sure it wasn't served. And, well, I did arrange to have it sent to the castle. But I wonder, my lord counselors, if there's something that you all could do. Perhaps, well, if it wouldn't be too much, maybe you all could even come and enjoy some food and drink at my inn. And that would show everybody that, well, there's nothing wrong with my service, there's nothing wrong with my material. This was simply a bad batch of ale from an unscrupulous vendor. That would go so far to making things good for my establishment again.
I don't drink ale. Sorry.
Oh, but we have more than just ale, counselor. I can't tell what kind of beverage you would like just by looking at you, but I have all kinds. Wines, perhaps? Something a bit more exotic?
Hmm. Well, um, it's highly irregular for us to. This is almost akin to bribery. Like, we'd be getting all these drinks for free, right?
I could certainly give you a free meal, yes, counselors. You see, it's just that bad word of mouth travels very, very quickly, and right now, people just don't seem to think that my service or my stuff that I serve is good, and it is. It's just this one bad batch, and it's important. Obviously, you know that the more customers that I have, the more tax money is collected that goes into your coffers. And you hear some snickering from the gallery here. So it's in your own interest to make sure that the business is running well. But beyond that, this is
All
just.
right.
You see, she
Let me
quiets
stop
down.
you there. You're getting a little desperate. I understand. Times are tough. I can't promise you that I'll come by, but maybe I will. In the meantime, we'll take the bad stuff off your hands and try to find the perpetrator.
Yes, his name was Davies. Davies, counselor. If you could find him and throw him in the slammer, that's what I would like to see.
Now, whoever's responsible for this, we're definitely gonna probably, chop their head off or something. Like, you can't poison people. That's real bad.
You see, she
Right, everybody?
puts a hand to her heart. Oh, that would be great. He's just a scoundrel, an absolute scoundrel.
Madam Jade, how long ago did you get this bad batch of ale?
Oh, when I got it exactly, I would have to check my record books. It was served somewhat recently, the last 5 days or so. I've been all in a frantic frizzy, as you can tell. This has just turned everything upside down. My head's all in a spin.
We understand, and although it's not on us or the council to help you influence your business in any way, you do have to understand that you have to earn people's trust back in terms of your food and beverage. So, may I suggest perhaps throwing some kind of event where you invite people the council included, not just us, but others as well, to enjoy your food and service. It may cost your business some now, but in the future it may bring your business some later. But that way you can show people that your establishment is credible. Perhaps some kind of party or something.
Yes, yes, I could do something like that, my lord. Whatever you think would bring people back. It's just so unfair what has happened.
Well, have you asked the people? Have you apologized to the ones that got sick? Have you talked to your
Yes,
neighbors about ideas?
I have apologized. I've told them all. It's just I don't know how I can check every single barrel. I mean, who would ever suspect something awful like this to happen? I've bought alcohol and other foodstuffs and things from Davies before, and it's never been an issue. So it's not like this was a brand new vendor out of the blue or anything. It's so unfair.
Well, perhaps you can make a promise to the public that you'll put forward a method of checking to make sure the ale is good. I mean, that's as simple as you having a cup of the new batch or something. Um, I mean, I love ale personally. I don't know about anyone else here in attendance, but ale flows nicely around here, and we would like all of our establishments to make sure they're selling good quality ale and not getting anyone sick. So perhaps take our suggestion here, Jade, and um, perhaps implement a new method to make sure your goods are taken care of and on the same level. Perhaps give back to the public a little bit, show them a good time, show them why your establishment is worth spending their coin at.
Oh my, that's a wonderful idea, my lord. I could hire somebody and call them the official ale taster. And they could taste the first drink of every barrel, and then as long as they don't get sick, it's got to be good.
Aye, that sounds like a great idea. See, you're already on the path, Jade.
You see, she smiles and nods. Yes, yes, I think I'll get to that right now, my lord. Great idea. Thank you so much. And please, yes, let's see Davy's head roll. Roll, I tell you. And you see she kind of smiles
Well,
and looks back between the council and the count.
what is the name of your establishment, by the way?
Oh, well, you see, I just recently renamed it because of all these really terrible events and so forth, but, I'm calling it the Golden Serpent Inn.
I think that this raises a good point that the council should get out in the community more often and visit various establishments in order to, patronize them.
The last time I did that, I ran into some trouble. But sure.
That'll come up later.
You notice Jade sort of like peculiar look on her face. Oh, you won't have any trouble at the Golden Serpent Inn, counselor. Please come by at any time.
Thank you
Alright,
for the
Jade.
invitation.
You see she smiles and like does this bow nod as she's backing away, and you see Lord Tannen gives her like this perfunctory nod of his head. She smiles and exits out the door.
It's a good name for an inn. Alright, Tannen. Next.
All right, yes, you notice Lord Tannen looks behind him, opening the door once again, and you see here the trumpet comes out, and you notice a young woman, perhaps a bit younger than you would have expected for a bounty hunter, enters through the doorway. As she enters, you notice she has this kind of exaggerated walk to her, as though she's like swaying back and forth pretty intentionally here. And you see she's taking in the whole atmosphere around her. She has this soft expression on her face, not quite a smile, almost just perhaps a curious look as she kind of scans about. And then you see
You're hired.
You see she looks over towards you, Blixel, as you say this, and you see she gives you a little bit of a smile and a incline of her head, and she said, Oh, I didn't think it would be quite that easy, but I am quite glad to hear it.
I mean, sorry. Sorry. No,
Dis-
forget what I said. I was
Disregard
daydreaming.
him. He was talking about something else. How can we help you, madam?
I am Catherine Lunadream, and I am a bounty hunter, and I have just arrived here in your fine nation of Cariele not so long ago, and I was looking to see if you had any work that you had of my services. I am able to track down individuals who do you harm or wish to do you harm, criminals, all the sorts of different individuals. I have quite a long list of successful bounty hunts behind me, but I'm always looking for the next big one. If you have any individuals that fit this bill, I would be more than happy to hunt them down and get them into a prison cell for you.
Aye, and your fees?
Negotiable.
And these references that you claim to have, are they all verifiable?
You see, she smiles a bit. My lord, well, of course, I have quite a few in the back of a long experience list, but bounties are a bit of a interesting endeavor where the individuals who hire me don't always wish for it to be known. Sometimes, as I'm sure you've encountered even in your own work, people do things wrong, but confronting them or setting things right isn't always clean and easy. So sometimes I am hired to take care of those types of situations, and I make sure to clean everything up carefully. But that doesn't always involve a whole lot of paperwork, my lord.
It's interesting that that was your answer. Yet here you are publicly proclaiming your services to us.
Well, of course, I offer my services to those who are deserving. But the specifics, if you were to choose to hire me, we wouldn't talk about in front of all of these fine people. You see, she motions with her hand to the gallery without actually looking that way.
How long do you plan to be in our great city of Carolinian?
That depends. Most bounties take me far away from capital cities, but occasionally I have done some urban work as well. If you are hiring me soon, then I will get right to the task at hand, and that could take me almost anywhere, depending on those that have wronged you.
Aye, well, I've had this job for not long enough to be wronged by anyone yet.
Then you are quite fortunate, my lord, but perhaps your counselors would find need of my services?
Sure.
If they
How
have
much?
wish for your services, they will ask.
Yeah, for sure. I think I do. How much do you charge?
It all depends on the bounty, counselor, but I will certainly have an arranged meeting with you at a later time if that would serve your needs.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Do you have a good restaurant that you like?
You see, she smiles. Oh, I am so new here, I can't say that I know of particular places, but I'm sure you know of one.
I'll pick one out. I'll talk to you after the council meeting, okay?
She smiles and nods her head, and you see she looks back towards you, Vin, and she says, I hope at one point in time that I find myself in your employ. Regardless, though, enjoy the rest of your day, and good fortune to you and yours.
We thank you for visiting our city and offering your services.
You see she smiles and once again turns, doing that very exaggerated swaying as she walks out of the room. All right, guys, and with that, that is the end of your public petitioners, and we are also halfway through our first part of the session here. Let's go ahead and pause, take our 15-minute break, and pick up on the other side.
See y'all in a few.
Alrighty, we are back on the second half of our session here. Team, you have finished with your public petitioners. Next up would be your private petitioners. Are you guys wanting to retire to the private council chambers to get those started, or is there anything you want to do in the interim?
Can I, while everybody's still in the room, and I guess like some people are slowly funneling out, I suppose, can I have Tannen come over to me and I want to whisper to him and ask him if that redhead that's in the audience, that's Milena, is the redhead that is the leader of the cavalry he mentioned?
Sure. Yep. So if you guys are done with the public and this, sort of announcement goes out that people can disperse, public court is at a conclusion. People do indeed start filtering out. You ask Lord Tannen to come over. He does. He ascends the stairs. You ask this question, and he tells you that yes, that is her.
Okay. Well, Lord Tannen, before we go into the private chambers, I suppose I should fill you in, but when the council went and investigated those logger deaths, well, we found out that this woman was inside of the guild camp, and it looked like they were conspiring something another. So we tried to infiltrate her camp, although we were not caught or known about. We do know that she has some quite powerful magic. So can you be sure that when she visits our chambers, that she is thoroughly searched?
You see, he looks at you and gives you a nod. Yes, my lord. I will see to it personally.
Be safe. All right. I'll stand up and kind of stretch my back and point over to everybody. All right, guys. You ready to take this into the chambers?
Let's do it.
All right, you guys make your way from one side of the castle to the other and enter your private council chambers. All right, once here, you see Lord Tannen enters as well. He informs you that your private petitioners are all essentially on standby. They're not necessarily right outside the door, but they're all fairly close by and he can get them. And he asks if there's any specific order that you would like to see these folks in.
Can we have Milena come in last? Tannen.
He nods.
Other than that, I could care less about the order, but her coming in last would be paramount.
Okay.
Maybe we have the money man first, just to make sure we can afford anything else that we want to purchase.
That's a great plan, Melixo.
Okay, Lord Tannen says he will make those arrangements, and he goes out to collect Mr. Heights. All right, shortly there later, Mr. Heights is brought into the council chambers here, and Lord Tannen announces his name once again. He says, Mr. Clauden Heights here for the private meeting. And you see he closes the door. Mr. Heights takes the chair closest to the door, and you see he smiles at all of you. Let me just say once again what an honor it is to meet all of you in this such esteemed quarters.
We can leave the pleasantries aside for now. Clayton, we're thankful for your offer.
Yeah, it's an honor for us too to meet someone who is so moved to help the people of this land.
Indeed, I only wish that more would do their part, and then just think how thriving our communities could be.
Aye. So how much would you like to donate?
Oh, well, my lord, donate is, well, that is not exactly what I do. You see, I am a banker, and I am willing to offer loans to you at very reasonable rates.
I know, Clayton. I was just giving you a joke. Relax a
Oh,
little.
I see. Sometimes, my lord, there are those who, well, they don't quite see things clearly, so I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any confusion here.
There's no confusion, sir, but if you ever do feel like just throwing some money around, just, and I'll give him a wink. Anyways, What were some of the rates you had in mind?
Well, much of that depends on how large of a loan it is that you are looking to take, counselors and my lord. I can certainly offer you a fairly reasonable rate at a low amount, or once the number goes up, the rate, of course, goes up as well. And, well, excuse me for saying so, but as you are quite new in your lordship here, my lord, typically a loan of this level would require some kind of collateral.
Collateral examples would be?
Oh, well, it could be many different things. For example, if you have any valuable jewelry that could be used as collateral, or I've occasionally had individuals who are of the adventurer background type even use some magical items as collateral. Essentially, all the collateral is that if the worst should happen and things should go unpoorly your way and you are not able to pay back the loan, then of course I would take your collateral to try to make me as close to whole as I could be.
Alright, seems fair.
Wait, no, it doesn't. We give you something. So basically, we're selling you something,
Oh,
That's
no,
not
and then we
no.
have to give all the money back.
No, no,
no, that's
counselors.
not
You are not selling it. I don't take ownership of your possession. Typically, how this works is we use a third party to hold your collateral in a secure location, and then, assuming all the payment goes through as expected, which I'm sure it will, you are all very upstanding individuals, then you return your collateral, is returned to you, I should say, and then I've made my return on my money plus the small amount of interest, and everybody is happy.
Um, what are your credentials again?
Credentials. Well, I am a businessman here in Cariele and have been for about a decade. Before that, as I told you, I came from the north. I've made quite a lot of money in my business endeavors because I have a very shrewd mind, counselor, and I know where I see good business versus bad. I only invest in good deals, things that I know that are going to make me money, and, of course, that have a good purpose behind them. And I've deemed you and your leadership of this land a good purpose.
Hey,
What,
let's
what
start with a
else?
Tannen, because Tannen talked to him, right?
Tannen has spoken to him before, yep.
Oh, sorry, Serena. What were you saying?
I asked him what industries he's made his money in.
An interesting question. Mostly in the trades, counselor. Investing in carpentry works. I've also been in some metalworking, invested there heavily. Probably the most significant, though, has been in shipping.
Thank you.
Well, Tannen, what do you think?
You see, Lord Tannen looks through some of his paperwork and he says, more money into the treasury, of course, is always beneficial, assuming that the rates that Mr. Heights here is explaining are indeed reasonable. If you see a need for this loan, then it could be appropriate, but there's so many devils in the details. So perhaps, Mr. Heights, you could tell us how much of a loan, if we were to ask for, that you would be willing to grant, and then we can discuss amongst ourselves and pull you back in just momentarily if that wouldn't be too terribly inconvenient. And you see Mr. Heights nods. Oh, yes, of course, that would be. Well, I typically don't say the upper limit, just to be honest, because unfortunately, with some individuals, if I say I will give you up to this much, then they ask for that much, and that always makes me wonder if they actually needed that much or not. Perhaps, if you wouldn't mind, could you all tell me how much you think you might need?
$1 million.
All right, 50,000.
I'd say somewhere in the realm of 20 to 45,000 would be sufficient.
You see he nods slowly, and he's looking at his paperwork, and he says, well, let me be completely honest. I was willing to offer you up to 10 gold bars in a loan. So when you say 20 to 40,000, that's at the very lowest end of what you are thinking of. Yes, unfortunately, I think the highest I could go is 10 gold bars. That's really what I have at my disposal right now to invest in this enterprise.
I see. And your rates of return?
As I said, it all depends on how much you're asking for. If you wish the full 10 gold bars, then I would ask for half a gold bar in interest per season until fully repaid.
All right. Well, give us a few minutes to discuss. We'll call you back in.
You see, he nods. Oh, yes, yes, no problem at all. I shall step out. Just let me know whenever it is that you are ready. And you see he does that, collecting his things and exiting from the chambers.
As he leaves, I'll look around and say, well, 10 gold bars is substantial.
Yeah, so is the interest, though.
We could ask for an amount that would cover the payroll for the next season, and that would give us some money to work with for our actions in creating this holding in Punal.
So my quick math, that's 5%, right?
You
No,
got it.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Lord Tannen, do you think this is a wise decision, or are we going to deplete the treasury?
Well, you will not be depleting the treasury by taking the loan, but if you take the loan and then spend all of the loan without planning for how to pay it back, then that certainly would be bad. What I would say is, based on the rate that he has explained, that is actually quite a good rate that I've seen in the markets. More frequently, you would see somewhere 10, 15, or 20% per season. The fact that he's offering 5%, that's quite a good rate.
Yeah, my first impression was that's not good. That's not bad at all.
No, not at all.
That's why I wanted to check my math. I'm like, am I doing something
in
wrong?
my head too. I was like, man, that seems really good.
And he is well known from around here.
That is not quite true, counselor. I can say I don't know Mr. Heights well. I can certainly look into him a bit more and try to get some more information on his background. I was curious to say that he made most of his money in shipping, and then he said he originally came from the north, but he's been here for 10 years. There's not a lot of shipping in Cariele. We obviously have the Rude River, but unless he's been on river boats investing, I suppose that's possible, but that does seem a bit odd.
Yeah, that triggered it with me. That and him wanting something from us to give us money. That's not how it works. He's gonna take what we give him and just skip into the hills.
Well,
But
counselor, that's not actually all that unusual. For example, if we were to take his money and do nothing with collateral, what if we chose not to pay him back? What really could he do?
We should
The bit,
definitely
the
look into his background, but we
big
also need money.
the bigger risk is that it's almost like it's too low. Like, what's the catch? You gonna sell my information? You know?
Well, the impression that I got from the petition is that he wants the notoriety of loaning money to the Regency of Cariele, which would encourage other people to do the same for him. I believe that's what he's after here on his
Yeah,
end.
that makes sense to have a 5% rate. I'm for it.
Oh, in addition, we should also talk to him if he has connections, even if we need to look into them exactly. If we are going to establish this holding in Punal, whether over this next season or the one after, we're going to need some connections to
oh, we're
sell it,
definitely doing it
move
this season.
Nothing bad could ever happen this season. I believe it.
it. Well, either way, we need someone with connections, someone who knows how to move product, And if we are working with him and create a good reputation, then perhaps in the future, when it comes to moving our product for the guild, he will also be generous with his office. Especially because it could make him more money. Although, in terms of collateral, I mean, what do we give him?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We could give him Blixel's firstborn. I'm
Who
sure
is
he
that?
wouldn't mind. Well, the one that's going to be born in 6 months.
No.
Good idea.
I'm a problem solver, Blixel.
I don't know how
That's
valuable
gonna
he'd
be-
see a baby that he would have to feed. And
That kid ain't mine.
Foster
That's
mom.
all I'll tell you.
Well, obviously he wants what is most precious to us, so I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, not with that attitude, Blixel. Come on, you got to sell it.
Well, no.
On a serious note, we have a handful of magic weapons, a couple of scrolls here and there, and then we have an orb that will grant me a free life. But
I don't think we should part with that. That seems
probably
important.
not.
And also, he doesn't know where it's been.
I haven't invented that kind of soap yet. All right. Well, I mean, we'll see what he asks for. Maybe he'll know better than us what he'll take for collateral. But my only instinct is just to make sure that they get the, whoever keeps the collateral gets it. Same time we see that the money actually exists.
Well, he did give us some examples of collateral that we could use. He said magical items or jewelry of some sort.
You could oversell that robe that you have, Serena, that just never gets dirty. Maybe it's also lucky.
Yeah, it works for me.
And I'll throw in my tentacle rod, like, you know, whatever. Just sitting in the
No more.
castle getting fat anyway.
All right, if you're fine with parting ways with those items, we could see if they would appease his collateral request.
Yeah.
And the amount we should do is what? Should we go with the 7 or try to get the 10?
10.
Why borrow more than we need?
Because it's a good rate.
But that's more to pay back than what we can. I mean, then if we don't need it, why borrow it and then have to pay back interest on what we don't need? Unless we have plans for it, which is fine at a good rate like that.
Like war.
Well, the extra money would definitely go into us trying to create this new guild idea that we have, which could not be a bad choice, but on the same level, that does mean we'll have to make that money back and pay him. However, he did not give us a term.
I'm assuming it's 20 seasons.
Well, it's more than that, right? Because interest is on top of the principal.
I guess that's what we're talking about. We don't know what the what the terms are.
He just said until it's all paid back, we get charged half the gold bar.
All right, well, I vote for 7. Dian says 10. Tavard, what do you think?
I'm not going to vote on it. I don't know what we're going to do with the 10, but I could see it being a good rate, so no vote.
What is it? Abstain? Okay. Celine, what do you think?
I suppose having the extra money would be good. I don't. You keep saying that we don't have enough money to cover payroll, but I think we do, right? And we're due to collect taxes soon. But if we must borrow, I would rather borrow on the lower end.
Well, I only mentioned that last time because if we went and mustered another round of scouts, it would have put us dangerously close. I don't mind 10, but I think we only need 7. What do you think, Serena?
I will support the 7.
I'm going to vote 7 too. Initially, I was very concerned about getting into debt, but at the same time, since this man's terms seem to be pretty standard, if we must, I would go with the lower end. And I can't say I'm not excited about making a bunch of purchases like troops and things that potentially could lead to the downfall of the guild.
Noted. Noted. All right, Blixel, you're left, although the vote seems to already have been shifted.
4.
As in 4 gold bars?
Yeah, I don't trust this guy, so if you're gonna get something, just don't get all that much.
I will, according to the council vote, that makes it 7. Well, Lord Tannen, you can bring him in.
Lord Tannen nods, and sure enough, within 5 minutes or so, he escorts Mr. Heights back in. And Mr. Heights enters, taking the same chair he was in before, with that same typical smile seen on his face. Ah, yes, it is good to see you all again. How have the discussions gone?
Well, I have just a simple question, and it's more curiosity than anything, Clayton, before we get down to brass tacks. But you mentioned shipping. We have a
Indeed.
we have a future venture that may need your shipping expertise, but I wonder, where did you get it? There is no water to ship on around here unless it was done by river.
Well, my lord, as I originally said, I am actually from the north, and by that I meant Thosone. I spent quite a bit of time in Nolian, working the shipping area there. Not actually working it, that's probably the poor choice of term, but investing in it and working with others. The merchant type of things that happen there, you would be surprised. Being a port town, so many goods come from so far away, and there's good money to be made knowing what things are worth quite a bit more than what their stated price is. So I did a lot of investing where a product would come in and I would see things that I thought I could sell for more than what the merchants were asking for. So I purchased it then and there, and then I had it shipped to various other areas. Some of it was indeed via river. The Rude River carried much of my product throughout the years. Others was on ships in other areas, leaving from Nolian across the Tail Firth.
I see. Any, excuse my poor manners, but nefarious dealings that we should know about, Clayton? If we are to go into business with you, and you are some shady figure shipping slaves, I think we have the right to know.
No, nothing like that, my lord. Occasionally, dealing with shipping, of course, weird things have happened. I've had some of my ships be captured by pirates and things, and I've had to, let's say, fund expeditions to get them back. And, well, I don't think pirates deserve any mercy.
So I kind of look around the table to see if anybody has any questions for him.
May we know who this third party who would be holding the collateral is before agreeing to anything?
Oh, actually, I did not have somebody specific in mind yet, counselor, but, perhaps the NRC, the Northern Reformed Church, they seem to be a stalwart in this area. I bet you they would be willing to serve as the third party holder of your collateral.
I do not mind them as a third party. Someone that we both feel like we could trust.
The NRC has a great history. I knew about them even in my time in Thozone. they obviously dominate this land in the religious way. So yes, they have a long-standing tradition of security, I would say. So I think they would be appropriate.
All right. Well, the council has discussed it, and although your offer of 10 is very gracious, we have decided that 7 gold bars would be what we would need for our future ventures that we have, and are hoping that when they come to fruition in the future, you will be there to help us facilitate transporting and shipping these goods. I believe it would be a great business proposal for both of us.
I like to take things as they come, my lord. So I will certainly be willing to lend you the 7 gold bars. That is not a problem. Future business dealings, we will have to discuss those more in detail. I certainly don't want to lead you on and give you the impression that I'm all in at this stage because, well, I have to judge each endeavor on its own merits, of course. And, well, I can't really say at this moment how exactly fortuitous those endeavors may be. But those are conversations for the future. So let us say that 7 gold bars, I can still give you the same rate on that, half a gold bar per season, and that is acceptable to you?
We accept those terms.
Oh, it's not reduced for less? Shouldn't it be less?
Typically the rate goes up when you borrow less, because I have to try to make my money back quicker, if that makes sense.
And for collateral, we have 2 items that came to mind.
Oh?
I'll look
But
over to
do
Dean.
you require collateral for this loan?
Yes, 7 gold
Okay.
bars, 14,000 gold pieces. Typically, we would look for collateral to be about half the value of the loan.
Great. Here's this wonderful tentacle rod. It serves me well. It grabs people and does some damage. Here you go.
You notice he eyes it. Oh, interesting. I'm certainly not an expert. Do you know roughly how much something like this would be valued at?
Well, I value it. It's the
Depends on
only
the
magical
person.
item I have, and
Like 5,000.
it's proved me well in combat and kept me alive. It will fetch a pretty penny. I actually don't know how much it is worth.
Also been
5,000, I'm
modified.
pretty sure.
If you
It's
would
been
like,
modified.
counselor, I could take possession of this and work with somebody who's reputable to give an appropriate valuation of it, and then let you know. I'm sure you have many busy things to occupy your time, or you could do the same and get me something in writing from a couple of different individuals, so we make sure that we have an appropriate price, and then I could certainly accept it as collateral for that value.
I think I'll do it myself. Thank you.
Certainly, and you see he nods.
All right. Well, there you have it. We'll have our collateral items appraised to make sure they meet your terms of half the value of 7 gold bars. We'll have you meet with Tannen to discuss the details of our next meeting.
You see, he nods. I look forward to it. I look forward to hearing from you all again. And might I just say, just one more time, what an honor it is to be in business with the likes of you all, and know that each night before I go to bed, I pray that success will find you and you will find it.
Can I
I
insight
don't
check
know.
this?
Yeah, I was gonna do that.
Sure, you can both throw an insight check.
I mean, he's just laying it on thick. Is he trying to, like, force our hand here?
This is all capitalists.
Oh, my screen's all black, so I can't see my token. I just do it.
Screen's all black. Uh-oh. You might have to zoom out a bit. Dean, you don't really pick much up one way or the other. Vin, I would say you don't necessarily pick up like that he's lying or anything, but you kind of get more of the impression that this is him just being overly polite, trying to make sure that, he's buttering you up to an extent.
I don't think it matters, Adam, but I think maybe my vision's off or something.
So right now you just see, I don't even think there is dynamic lighting on this page. Is everybody else seeing the council chambers?
I had to
There's a big black box under it, so you might be like scrolled way to the bottom.
I had to restart.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, okay. So maybe there's still some issues Roll20's having. That would not surprise me in the slightest. So yeah, maybe just try a refresh, Ian.
Buxel's gonna do this, the Divine Sense, just in case.
You don't pick up anything on Mr. Heights.
I thought Blixer was going to lay down a green card or something.
All right, and Mr. Heights is then excused from the council chambers for you guys to make final arrangements. Tannen then looks at you all and says, okay, well, that seems worthwhile. Hopefully the collateral does indeed come to the amount we need. Otherwise, you may want to think of some other things that you're willing to have be held by the NRC.
Do you think this was a benefit, Vin, from your allegiance with the NRC? It's just part of the deal.
Well, the deity they follow is not one of negative intention, and as he said and mentioned, that they hold a quite firm religious hold over the area. It seems that our connection with them has been bolstered. They are excited and happy to have connected with the new leadership. So having them hold it for us, I cannot think of honestly a better third party for us on our side.
Agreed.
Adam, this is a random question because somebody just mentioned something about price and it just made me think of it. The curse, the spell remove curse, is that a willing kind of thing?
I know if I needed it, I know I would be willing.
So what you're asking is, if you were to cast Remove Curse on somebody and they were unwilling, would it work? Is that what you're asking?
Well, you know how like it says in some spell wording that like on a willing creature, it doesn't mention it to this one, but there's no save on it. So like, is it just boom, curse done, game over, boom?
So what I would say, most typical curses, like a bestow curse or other of those kind of curses, and a lot of things that might be written into modules and stuff, yeah, boom, it's done, it's over. There are more potent curses where you would actually have to make a roll to try to break it, but they're pretty rare.
I see. Okay. But he does pick up on Tavard's hint there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Just throwing out ideas. If you wanted to practice.
Dude, you out of character for a second. You have random fish smells coming from your room, and you were fucking
Wasn't me.
paralysis demon at the end of my bed. Yeah, man.
Wasn't me.
It doesn't matter if he's willing. We'll hold him down and force him.
Those darn doppelgangers.
Go full exorcist on it. Power of Christ. Well, not Christ, but power of Ceremony compels you.
All right, that was it. I'm sorry for taking us away from that, but I was thinking about that because we talked about it and then forgot about it, and then I was just, now that we're getting down to money and stuff, I was just curious because remove curse is a 3rd level spell. We could probably ask the church to cast it, or we could buy a spell scroll with it. But I was just curious. All right, Tannen. Who's next on your list of private petitioners?
Mr. Stonesworn the Butcher.
The man who's been shot at.
All right, send him in, but make sure he gets pat down extra good.
All right, will do. Just a moment. All right, Tannen leaves the room, and you guys are here for perhaps 5 minutes, 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes goes by. Eventually, Lord Tannen opens the door and steps back in and looks at you all, and he says, I'm sorry to say, my lord and counselors, that I cannot locate Mr. Stonesworn. I'm quite certain he was here earlier today, but I cannot find him.
Maybe a
Don't
job
tell
for that
me
bounty
he
hunter.
see in the walls.
Oh crap! They got him.
Did he arrived earlier?
Yes, yeah, I'm quite sure he did. I remember speaking. Oh, there's so many petitioners. I'm pretty certain that he did. Yes.
Well,
Well, let's have the castle guards look for him.
yeah, let's
Yes,
make sure he's not snooping around anywhere.
I did indeed ask the guard if they had seen him anywhere around, and the guards asked for a description. I gave them the best description I could remember. They said they would look for him and see if they could find him, but yes, I suppose we just move on. I told them if they find him to just let us know.
Interesting. Well, one of two things. He's either incredibly clever and used it as a way to get in the castle and sneak off and do something, or he got killed before he made it here.
Or perhaps even more concerning, he made it here and then was taken away or killed.
Yeah, that would suck also. Well, make sure the guards do a good patrol. Tell them to go to the basement. Make sure no one's messing around with anything down there. Clear our rooms. Check on Dean's wife, child. Make sure everybody is okay and he's not around, please.
Lord Tennon nods. Yes, I have already given instructions almost to the letter of what you have just said.
All right. Well, on to the next, I suppose.
Yes, let me get Mr. Cloudfang. You see he exits the room, and shortly there later, you notice a young man enters the room here. He's kind of short, like 5'6", maybe about 140, 150 pounds, something like that. You notice he has this kind of like nervous twitch to him, where he steps in. You see his left arm every say 30 seconds or so, it just kind of flexes, bulges out a bit, and then you see he doesn't really seem to notice it, or maybe he's just so used to it. But you see he's looking at you all and doesn't say anything right away. Lord Tennant says, "This is Mr. Gregory Cloudfang. He is the individual for whom the ring was taken." And you notice Gregory just kind of gives a little nod.
Gregory, you seem nervous.
He nods again.
Come on, boy. What is it?
What brings you here?
I told this man here already about my friend and the ring, and here's the ring.
Place it on the table there at the end.
You notice he kind of looks at you all and takes one step forward, another step forward, like almost very slow, and then just reaches his hand out that kind of wobbles and shakes, and he places the ring on the table and then pulls his hand back and steps back very slowly once again.
Do you mind telling me why you're so nervous?
Never been in a castle before?
I see. Well, you're about as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, so relax a little bit there, sir.
He nods.
Tell us your story from your perspective as best you remember it.
Well, my friend Ella, she sometimes takes things from people. She's like pretty quick and just like takes them and they don't notice. And she took a ring that ring that right there on the table, that ring. She took that ring from this person in the city, and then she came she came to see me when I was working, and she said, could I hold on to this ring for a bit because somebody was following her and somebody was maybe after her, and if they found her and she didn't have the ring, then maybe it would be okay. So I said okay, I'd hold on to the ring, and then I haven't seen her again, and it's been like over 6 weeks now, and I used to see her like every week or every 2 weeks at the most.
And your friend, did she mention these people that were after her and who they were?
No, 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 no. She said the less I knew, the better.
And do you know who she swiped this ring from?
No.
Perhaps we can look at it and see if there's any identifying marks or signets or features to it. See
Adam,
if
is
we
he
can.
wearing gloves?
Yeah, he is wearing gloves.
So he didn't touch the ring with his bare hands when he put it down?
He did not.
Who's sitting on this side? Because I imagine he probably put it like over here, right, Adam? Or
Yep.
like on this side here?
The first one is what I'm imagining. Yep.
So who's sitting here, guys?
No way I would be close enough to the door in case some axe
Yeah.
murderer
It
came
would
through.
be Serena, right? Or
Blixel. In my mind, I always imagined Blixel here, personally, but I don't know about you guys.
Damn, Noah, he put you at
What?
the very end of the table. How does that make
No,
you
that's not
feel?
how it worked. That's not how it worked. Because I imagined
Yeah.
Dean. Dean was over here. I imagine Serena wanted to be like here, and then Celine, obviously not close to the door, but taking all the notes here, and then Tavard probably close to the door on this side, leaving
I'm
Blixel either
probably
here or here.
standing.
Well, there you go.
oh, I thought you were sitting.
Let's see if it makes
No,
you
that's
guys.
why I'm standing.
If it makes you feel better, you can always drag tokens and put them on specific chairs just to represent where you're actually sitting. Don't
Let's
use
do
the
that.
ones that are on the right side of the screen, of course, but just bring your own from your character sheet.
Let's do that. Then everybody can just choose. Oh, they're tiny.
I can make them bigger than that. Just a moment.
So Tavard's just kind of awkwardly standing in between these like suits of armor or something.
Hey, I'm closest to the door in case I need to go punch somebody. Punch him nicely, of course. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, gentle fist.
I am a pacifist wannabe, so.
You're like over here, Tabby. I'm going to shrink yours a little bit then.
No, he's like over there, but not in the chair. I just keeping him standing.
All right, fair enough.
While we're doing this, I find it odd that he just dropped the ring in here. He's wearing gloves. I like a little like cursed object-y.
What's the ring supposed to do?
What is it supposed to do? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Put it on and find out.
If you're asking him that, he looks at you like kind of odd and says, "What do you mean do?"
Is it magic in any way?
Don't know.
Can I make an insight check to see if he's lying?
Sure. Yeah, blind check. You can tell he is quite nervous.
Good thing we have a wizard in our group. Celine would have identified 100 magical items by now.
Well, I'll take a look at it. So it scoops it up.
You said he scoops it up?
Yes.
Is Blixel wearing gloves?
No.
No? All right, so you pick up the ring. It's cold to the touch.
Oh, this ring is chilly.
He nods. Yes, yes, I was keeping it in the cold stuff.
Is it a ring of winter, Adam? Oh my god.
Blixel will look at it like intently, like putting his eye through the ring, and try to see if there's any sort of identifying, marks on it.
Well, that is not difficult at all because this looks to be a signet ring. You notice a strange crest on the ring. It's sort of emboldened in the broad side of the ring. It kind of resembles some kind of a strange squiggly shape with a lot of different, your first impression almost is like tentacles.
That's for Tavard.
No, it's for me.
He'll toss it to Tavard.
It matches my tentacle rod.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You could partner that with this and make a nice little wedding gift for Tavard.
Adam, do I know any family crest or anything similar that shares the signet that he's explaining?
Give me a blind check.
I will help him. I'm almost certainly the one who should be doing this role.
No, you didn't think of it. I'm gonna throw a
I
hero
did
point
think
on
of it.
it.
That's
We're
why I
start
asked
arguing.
if it was a
That's
signet ring.
we're arguing, Adam. That's how the check is going. All right, hero point, and then I'm gonna throw a blood check.
So, and just to clarify, are you doing this just based on how Blixel is describing it to you, or are you asking him to hand it over? Are you walking over to him? Give me a better idea what you're doing.
Vin is just going based off of memory, based off of the quick explanation about the tentacles. So he's not diving into like inspecting it.
You don't recognize that. Now, remember, you grew up in a hamlet, so you probably don't know hardly any signets or home symbols, family symbols, crests like that. So, no, this doesn't ring a bell to you at all.
Shrugs his shoulders. Signet ring is definitely somewhat important, though. We usually use it to seal letters with wax or something similar to show who it's coming from. Anyone that wants to seal their correspondence has to be swinging. You know what I mean?
And you said your friend Ella gave it to you. What did Ella look like again?
She's half elf and short and dark hair and thin.
Does she match any of the victims that we have from the killer?
Possibly, based on that vague description, it's possible.
Well, we're sorry. Your friend is missing. If you leave the ring with us, we'll make sure we find its rightful owner.
He
I'm
nods.
assuming you came to us in private because you did not want to be known as the one who had it in their possession.
He nods.
And you would like us to keep that secret, yes?
He nods.
And you will also keep secret that you're giving it to us, yes?
He nods again, yeah.
All right. Well, then you can go, and we'll look into this tragedy that has befallen your friend. I think.
When you say you can go, he's like already running for the door to leave.
Oh, okay.
You see Lord Tannen kind of gets up as he like flings the door open. He's like going away, and Lord Tannen looks back at you to see if you do anything immediately, but he just kind of shrugs his shoulders.
Lord Tannen, do you, as a lord who has been in the city for some time, do you recognize this pattern on the ring as belonging to any important family in particular?
Oh, I did not actually even look at it. Blixel, if you'd like to hand it over, I can certainly take a look.
I would do it if someone beat me to it and wouldn't let me.
Sure, here, but make sure you give it back. It looks pretty good on my finger.
You see he takes it from you, and you see he looks at it pretty carefully. Hey, Celine, go ahead and give me a blind check. I'm going to let you roll for Lord Tannen since somebody else stopped you from rolling.
Or so you get my +10 to history or whatever?
He might be influenced a little bit.
Sure. Blind check?
Yes.
Get my token.
You notice as he looks at it, he kind of looks, he says, "Oh, this is strange." And then you see he takes his thumb on his other finger, so his left hand's holding the ring squeezed between index and thumb. He takes his thumb from his other finger, and you see he kind of wipes at the broad face, and then you see he kind of like looks at it and looks up at you guys and says, "Well, that is odd now, isn't it?" And you see he turns and shows it to you. There was something here that was almost like a smudge, but somehow not a smudge. I suspect this was somehow secreted, but look what it has revealed once I've rubbed it.
Oof, that doesn't look good.
It looks beautiful.
I think a pirate would want this.
Adam, would I recognize
man.
that design? Just asking for a friend.
Give me a blind check, Tavern.
I'm not sure if maybe it may have been in any other world I may have seen or something. You never know.
If it was there, you weren't paying attention when you were boot scooting boogieing out of that other world. So no, this doesn't ring a bell to you.
So I'm going to guess that this is not a well-known, reputable family's ring. In that case.
It also sounds like whomever it was stolen from either themselves chased down this Ella or sent someone to find her. 6 weeks missing. I mean, I think we all know what happened there.
Well, we find whoever this ring belongs to. We find the killer, right?
So to speak.
Hopefully, the changes I'm making will result in some investigative work. Although, that would just be within the city.
Yes, but maybe we are making the wrong assumption of who this ring belongs to. Could be a serial killer that, yes, but it could also be, well, judging by the face, the only thing I can think of is Shadow Realm related. Kind of reminds me of that thing that fell out of the portal.
Could be them darn cult monks that I saw, a few days back.
Maybe we might want to investigate this ourselves.
Sure.
It's an interesting ring, though. And obviously important enough for someone to send down killer. Is there any engravings on the inside? A name or anything?
Lord Tannen kind of looks inside and shakes his head no as he hands it back over to Blixel.
All right, Blixel puts it on.
Okay, you have it on.
It's pretty cool, though.
Well, we'll have to look into that. Poor boy, who was scared out of his mind. Well, who's next, Tannen?
Next up is one Mr. Justice Commonbrook. Let me go collect him. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by. Lord Tannen returns once again and says, well, this is becoming a pattern. I don't see Mr. Commonbrook anywhere either.
Did they come in together, or were they separate?
Is this the locksmith?
Yes, the locksmith.
What is
I stand up.
happening?
I talked to the
stand up.
locksmith. He wasn't coming.
I stand up and leave, Adam. I'm going to the basement myself.
I already met with the locks.
Lord Tannen looks towards you, Blixel. Oh, and you told him not to come, so we should not be
Yeah.
expecting him? Oh,
Yeah, sorry. I thought I told you. Sorry about that.
that certainly makes things more clear. And whew, okay then. I assume you're not leaving then, Ben?
No, I turn around and be like, Blexel, you gotta fill us in on these things.
I told you about I said about my conversation with to everybody earlier.
Well,
I wasn't listening.
the next one up then is Miss Glory Bluff, if you're ready for her.
Oh, is that the scientist?
No, this is the one who said she is connected with somebody of fame and somebody that you would want to meet and so forth.
Oh, yeah. Send her in.
All right. He exits and returns fairly quickly with a woman in tow. You see, as she steps in, she has a fairly distinctive appearance, primarily because while she looks somewhat young, her hair is very much white. Or you might say platinum. As she enters the room, you see she gives a warm smile to you all, and she says, oh, it is so good to make your acquaintance, Helena Glorybluff.
Hello, Helena. You are quite fair. Sorry for being so forward, but I've never seen that hair color before.
Why, thank you. Yes, I am quite fond of it.
Who are you here to represent and exploit?
Well, may I have a chair, please? Would you mind if I sit?
No, no, are you thirsty?
No,
Give you
no.
like 10% of the chair.
You see she looks at you kind of oddly. I'm sorry, I don't think I understand that.
Yeah, there's one on the end here. Feel free to take it.
Okay, she does so, still kind of looking at Blixel a little bit oddly. Well, so this is going to be a bit of an unusual situation, though I'm sure you've dealt with your fair share of those by now, yes?
Aye.
Well, then, let me explain. You see, I come to you with information of great import, and I think that you will find it very interesting, but it is also quite confidential and very, well, secretive, you might say. So, I first ask that once I reveal this information to you, regardless of how you feel about this, whether you agree or disagree with the methods or the individuals that I'm connected with, that you promise now to allow me to go free and you don't try to have me arrested or anything along those lines. Is that fair?
Oh, God. No one cares how famous your client is. Get over yourself.
It's an interesting proposal, Helena. But if the safety of my city is at jeopardy while you're in it, I cannot promise that we won't take action. I don't expect you to think differently either.
No, no. Perhaps you're misunderstanding me. See, the individual that I represent, who I'm connected to, their methods maybe not be things that everybody fully agrees with. Let's say that. And I'm happy to reveal some information, but I have to make sure that once I explain that you don't simply have me arrested and so forth. So what I mean by that is if this is too much for you, or you don't wish to hear what I have to say, I completely understand and I will simply exit. But if you can give me assurances, then I would like to reveal a great opportunity for you.
What, do you work for the Gorgon?
You see she looks towards you very perplexed. Oh my, no.
Do you work for the eyeless one?
While I would love to sit here and play a guessing game with you and say no to a whole bunch of individuals, perhaps you could just give me the assurances that I need?
Okay. Little shrugs, looks over again.
I don't want either of our times wasted. So, sure.
Excellent. Then allow me to inform you that I am an agent of one of the greatest assassins who has ever lived. This assassin has more kills to her name than anybody that you could imagine. She has taken down the high and the low. She has killed commoner, noble, and regent alike. Once she sets her sights on somebody and agrees to take a job, that person is as good as dead. Perhaps you know of who I speak? Anybody
No.
that is proficient in history here can make a check if they wish.
Sure.
We all look at Saline.
Saline, you've heard this strange story before. It's been in some of the books that you've read in the past, and there's supposed to be it almost you wonder if this is one person or like a group of people that just keep taking on the mantle of this name, because these stories seem to go out through hundreds of years in Cerilia. But there is this figure that is referred to as Champagne, and it is said that she is an amazing assassin that even one time there was this crazy story about how she one shot killed a giant lizard just by shooting it in the back of the head in a massive arena match some many years ago. But her name comes up anytime somebody dies, especially if they're of importance and they die and nobody can kind of figure out who it is that has killed that individual. Her name is whispered, but it's been going on for so many years that it probably isn't one person unless they have some, longevity or immortality.
Sure. So I'll mention the brief gist of it to the people next to me.
Okay, and as you're doing so, you notice Helena smiles and inclines her head. Yes, that's the one.
Oh.
And what exactly is one of her agents doing at our council session, Helena?
Well, of course, making her skills and services available to you. She only takes on jobs that she finds to be worthwhile and be worth her means and fit her goals and so forth. She's not a simple assassin that is assuming you have the money, she takes the job. But if there is somebody that you wish to have erased, let's say, and it meets her Champagne's criteria, well, they are as good as gone.
I see. And this rate you speak of, I'm sure of someone that legendary stature, that it cost quite a penny.
Oh no, she does not charge anything, in fact. She is simply making her services available to you to see if there is an individual that meets her criteria that you also wish to have erased.
All right.
Yes, something comes to mind.
There are a few figures, yes, Helena, but us revealing them to you would lay out a bit of inner details that I don't think you should be privy to.
While I understand your caution, I certainly cannot give a target if you don't give me a target.
So it's so I'm sorry, Dean Cuthbert, the hand of the region. So is this how this works? Is we tell you, and then you tell Champagne, and then you guys converse, and then you come back and say yes or no?
Yes, that is quite the gist of it.
Dean lets out a sigh and smiles and looks into the air.
Can we give you a few? And if one of them's good, you pick that.
I only have one in mind, Helena. So just so you know.
I'm afraid that's not how it works. It would only be a single name. For if you were to give a few, then, well, it's not to say that one is more important than the other. Really, this is to see if there is a meeting of the minds. If the individual you write down is somebody that fits Champagne's criteria, well, then we are in business.
Could you give us an explanation of her criteria?
To be honest, I wish I had a perfect answer for that. It kind of stretches many different things. But what I can say is she abhors anybody who harms children. She abhors those who are violent to those that are not deserving of that violence. And she particularly really dislikes men in positions of power who exploit their power to harm women.
And how does she feel about killing women of power who exploit their position to kill others?
There have been some women targets on her list in the past, but I will confess that it's been very far and few between.
What if we don't have a name? We just have a person. Does she do her own investigating?
Well, yes, to a degree, but we would have to, if you don't have a name, it would have to be some kind of description that clearly identifies this individual.
I think I understand where Serena is leaning. Let's put it this way, Helena. We are investigating a string of deaths in the city that involve young women being targeted and slain. And although we cannot name this person who is doing the slaying, nor give you a description, we are trying to track them down. I think Serena is leaning a bit that direction, and I look over at Dean. I also know what direction Dean is leaning as well. What I have to ask you, Helena, it seems odd to me that there is no question of barter, that you're
Well,
just
let me
to
assuage
erase
your
somebody.
concerns. Imagine you had more money than you knew what to do with, but you also had a great set of skills about eliminating people. Why would you charge? You don't need money. Champagne is more wealthy than anybody I know.
So she kills for benefit of what? Her views?
The way I've always understood it is there's a large scale, and sometimes things get out of scale, out of balance, and, well, she eliminates targets to try to bring things back to balance.
And how exactly do we know that you work for her and not the enemy that we could potentially name, hoping that we name it?
You don't, of course, but that would be a very poor technique if I just came here hoping you randomly named someone that I worked for. I mean, I'm asking you to name anybody. That would be shooting a barrel, right? I mean, we're talking someone incredibly unlikely to match.
Can I insight that answer, Adam?
Sure, yeah, throw me a check. Yeah, you're not quite sure. There's something about the way she's speaking and her appearance that it makes it really hard to gauge what she's saying.
You can see how this seems too good to be true, of course.
Why? Why? You've faced so many troubles, I am sure. Every now and again, something has to break your way.
How does she feel about the desecration of the natural environment and the beautiful forests and everything that we're seeing rapidly disappear from Cariele?
I don't know that she has a strong opinion on that one way or the other. Her view, of course, is much wider than just Cariele, but this is where she's at currently, or at least this is where her focus is. But remember, her her vision takes in all of Cerilia. So I cannot say that she has a vested interest in the forests of Cariele, if that's what you're asking.
We're just seeing the natural world experience a lot of negative repercussions in recent years, and just wondering if any of that has affected her.
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm guessing if you're here, then that means that she's probably close in the region then?
You notice Helena smiles and she says, I can't even say. She moves quickly. She has abilities and skills that I've never understood and can't even fathom.
And why did she send you here? Did she say?
Well, this is not the first time that I've worked with her. As I said, I am her agent, and I get commissions from her to go to certain areas, certain places, and see if a name match can occur. Why she sent me to you, I don't really know.
I'll be honest, Helena. I'm having a hard time trusting your answers, but I don't know if that's because you are telling the truth and it seems too good, or if something is hidden behind what you're saying. But I can promise you we do have a few people in mind. I have about 3 names that I could give that I would like to see erased, one of which was a man in a position of power. He no longer holds it, but he did cause a lot of problems. He's petty and immature, and I'm sure he has revenge on his mind. Another has been using her power to manipulate those around her to gain things that she wants. And the other, I just don't like them.
Would you like to name somebody now, or would you like to take some time to speak with your companions here, and then I shall return?
If you'll allow us a moment to converse, because as you can probably tell from the questions you gained, there are different names that come to everyone's minds here.
And I don't mean to press you. I don't have too much time, but I can give you, say, 20 minutes.
That's fair.
She nods, and you see she walks out the door. Lord Tannen lets her go, and then you can see there's like a question that kind of hangs in the air here as he turns back and looks at you. And I imagine all of you are kind of looking at each other and pondering this weighty decision. And because we are after session time, folks, that's where you're going to go ahead and pause it. As a reminder, we will not have a session next week. I'll be on vacation, so we'll pick up in 2 weeks. Plenty of time for you guys to discuss and think about how you want to proceed with this. I would also throw out there, since we've had several sessions of council, as a reminder, you guys have the investigating the tunnels in the Stone Crown Mountains that you wanted to follow up on. So is that something you guys are still interested in that I should be prepared for you guys to follow up on?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm down to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Also, I made this new character, so I'm ready to roll them out.
Okay, fair enough. So then I will plan that when we come back in 2 weeks, we will wrap up the last bit of the petitioners. We'll do you guys' downtime stuff, and then knowing that you'll shortly after that be investigating the Stone Crown Mountain tunnels. So I'm getting to more of like an adventure session at that point. So yeah, good to look forward to. All right, great session, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Have a
You
good
guys.
vacation.
Like
Bye,
I
everybody.